On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will start things off with some video game and comic book talk before launching into a detailed breakdown of The Mandalorian, S2E3, aka The Heiress. In addition to the episode breakdown, the two bozos will take you all to Star Wars school to get learned on Bo-Katan, Death Watch, and the Darksaber by providing a roadmap of animated Star Wars content to watch. They'll also drop their predictions for Mando S2E4 based on its synopsis, and no, we ain't getting snips quite yet. Matt will mention a few of the new Star Wars collectible reveals this week before Nick kicks off this week's fan segment, which will once again feature fan feedback on the latest episode of The Mandalorian. Finally, the show will conclude with this week's top 5 Star Wars fan artist features and the fan shot breakdown special segment. Cue the music. I need a brontosaurus neck to skate down and get ready to go home because the work bell has rung. That is right, my friends. It is Matt and Nick of the Star Wars Time Show. We are back. We are live. We are just as dumb as ever. All right. Man, Nick and I, we had a little powwow before we went live here, and yeah, I'm just dealing with some real life stuff. Nothing too bad. It's work, so I am happy to still be working. But sometimes, as I explained to Nick, I question my decisions in life. We all know this when it comes to my collecting hobby, my toy photography hobby. Tons of questions there, but sometimes even in my professional life, I make very odd choices that result in a lot of extra work for me without a lot of ROI. I explained it to Nick. It's kind of the same conundrum I have with making content for Star Wars Time Show, in particular our YouTube. I have this drive to make it like people give a fuck, yet year in and year out, there's no return. No one gives a fuck. I know no one gives a fuck, but I keep doing it. So the same thing's kind of happening now in real life, where I took on a new course to teach. Yes, I am a professor, not only of Star Wars, but of the computers, of the IT, the ITs, the TITs, the IoTs, you name it. And for some reason, instead of just kind of going with the flow, using my system, I'm like, yo, fuck it. During lockdown, where I got to teach my preschooler too, let's take on a whole new fucking big course that's going to add like 50 hours of work a week to my life. Yay for me. Fuck my face. Let's get to the good stuff. But Nick, before we get to the topics, and as you heard from the announcer there, and the announcer, let's give him credit, people. He is trying to change his voice a little bit, but it's harder than it sounds. When that announcer tries to go deep like Will Arnett, it only lasts for about a minute, or not even a minute, about 10 seconds. And I'm like, fuck this shit. Oh, sorry. I mean, the announcer's like, fuck this shit.
The announcer, I mean,
You know what I mean?
It's a tough job. Voice acting, changing your voice. It's a hard thing. And even though we pay the announcer very well, he still struggles from time to time.
I just, Will Arnett has one of the best trailer voices, commercial voices out there. And I just want to start on this episode of the Star Wars Time Show. But after that, I'm ready to fucking pass out.
You're like, okay.
Yeah, I'm ready to pass out. My voice box feels like I'm grating it with a cheese grater. So I usually loop back into the fake announcer voice. But hey, it is what it is. Before we get into the topics, though, Nick, I do want to talk a little bit about real life because we kind of canceled that last week. The anniversary is great. Mr. O'Dizzle, thank you in the live stream. After the cast, I was sitting here having a few pops. We actually went outside. I didn't know my dad came down because he's quarantined. He's kind of a mountain man anyways. He came down early this week. And I was like, you know what? We're going to set up the screen outside and get him caught up on the new Mando. So that's always fun. I mean, even though my dad and I don't really have I would say it's a traditional male-son relationship. If you grew up with a father that was born in the 50s and was raised by the greatest generation, which means you really didn't have a father-son relationship outside of maybe talking about sports here or there, or, you know, talking about a football game. And there's never really real life talks. But even with that being said, it still means a lot to me to show my dad Mando and kind of explain some of the shit that's going on. Because he's the one that got my dumbass into all this shit way back in 1980. So yeah, the anniversary is nice. It's just, hey, I'm always going to have a good time if I can have a few pops, light up a fire on the deck, break out the big screen, watch Star Wars, and just drink some beers outside with the family. So thanks for asking. But what I want to talk about last week real quick, and I know Nick can kind of chime in, then we'll move on. I won't take up too much time, but last week was probably one of my greatest and worst tech weeks of all time.
Yes.
In terms of the great, I was fortunate enough to have the money and get the pre-orders in for both of the new consoles. Yes, I have the Series X, still one of the dumbest fucking names out there. Just add numbers, Microsoft. It's not that hard. Quit being cute. And I got the PS5. PS5 showed up on launch day, so kudos to Walmart. I didn't think that was a possibility, especially because the night before they sent me the dreaded email of, oh, by the way, we sold more than we had, so you may not get yours on time and you may not get it at all. But lo and behold,
shipping delays possible.
Yeah, exactly. Like Nicky Boy stuff with Amazon. But lo and behold, I wake up Thursday morning and the shit was already sitting on my porch. So,
hey, man,
amen, Walmart. The Series X was delayed from Best Buy. That was a fuck up. But so there you go, $1,000 in new consoles, and yes, they're fantastic. And no, there is not a single next gen game available yet. I would challenge that unless you have a high end 8K OLED QLED display. Don't even come at me like, oh my god, the graphics are so much better. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean,
you might get the frame rate increase, but you're not going to get like the resolution isn't jumping off the screen and sticking its dick in your eyes. What I'm saying, right?
Yeah. After having played 3 games on PS4, so I mean PS5, I've played Ghost of Tsushima, which ups its frame rate from 30 FPS to 60 FPS, which is actually a very big difference. It's very noticeable.
Because that game clipped on the PS4. Like its frame rate was dodgy on the PS. I fucking love that game. One of the best of 2020, but it had a lot of the jitters, if you will.
Yeah, and I will say that it's the best game I've played on my PS5 so far. So I played that. I played Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Right.
I got the PS4 disc edition, which has the free upgrade to the PS5 edition. I played that, and I was like, dude, this game doesn't even look like it's a PS5 game. It just looks like it's a PS4 game. It looks worse than Ghost. And Ghost is not even made for PS5.
That's interesting. I wouldn't. I mean, Nick, this is just my personal take on things. If a game comes out for an old generation, it's not made for the new generation. It was made for the old, ported to the new. I'm playing AC on the Series X. That's the game I got for Series X because unlike Sony, Microsoft didn't give you fucking 15 games for buying their new console. I will give.
I know that was. Pretty
I will give
sick,
Sony.
Man.
You know, I'll tickle their tits for that. I mean, it's all like PS4 games, and Bugsnax is PS5, and it's kind of. I tried Bugsnax as like someone fucking poked my eyes out. I couldn't even get through the opening video.
Astro's Playroom.
Yeah,
on
you
PS5,
get Astro's Playroom,
though.
but that 15 PS Plus or PS Collection is. I mean, dude, you get God of War, you get The Last of Us remastered, Monster Hunter,
Final Fantasy,
Final 15, Fantasy Pimp Edition,
the huge Royal Edition. Like they give you legit.
So I was impressed,
free.
but just kind of getting back to the breakdown of the new consoles. Visually, outside of frame rates, it's the same shit. Let's be real. Yeah. It's the same fucking shit, like I said, unless you have an 8K TV. And if you do, then you're probably so rich you don't even play games or even watch your nice TV. You just buy them because you can buy them. All right? Yes, 4 inches is fine, as Joe is saying in the live stream. That is my motto. My wife has a t-shirt that says that, actually. Okay. But here's the deal. Here is what I've noticed, and for someone like me that has zero patience and, will start biting his arm if something takes too long to boot up. These new consoles are fast as fuck. Yeah. The Series X is even light years beyond the PS5 in terms of speed. This thing, I put both my consoles to sleep. I don't turn them off fully. I kind of have their power essentially where they're alive listening for new updates and whatnot. So yes, I'm a scumbag. I don't have a green footprint for my consoles. I'm contributing to the downfall of the climate, but whatever. It makes me happy because I can get right to gaming, Nick. But I've done this on both. From a resting start, Xbox is at its menu in about 2 seconds. 2 seconds. PS5, I've been like, hey guys, what? I mean, you leave that cunt sleeping to where it's orange lights on, right? I wake it with the controller. It's still like 10 seconds to get to the fucking UI. And that sounds ridiculous, and I sound like a jerk off for even bitching about it, but I paid $500 for this fucking thing to boot up lickety split. I want to get right back to playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, which I am finding to be quite excellent. I mean, it's the same as the other Spider-Man games, same controls, but super fun. So if you like those games, you'll love Miles. But I don't know, dude. I feel like the Series X, its boot up speed is ridiculous. I'm talking from sleeping to getting to a game. And the PS5 isn't that much far behind, but it is quite noticeable. I also find the Series X to be way quieter than the PS5. I think the PS5 disc drive version is probably louder than just the standard PS5 without a disc, but the Series X has a disc too, and that thing makes fucking zero noise. The PS5, when you boot it up, you can hear it going like firing up, so...
I heard that the fans on the Xbox can be loud sometimes, but I don't know.
Haven't heard it yet.
I'm not going to get one.
I mean, maybe Valhalla just isn't taxing the system, but I can't hear the Series X while playing a game unless I'm right up on it. And for all of you that, they catch on fire, you understand those are all fake, okay? Those are people blowing vape smoke into the bottom and having it come out of the top.
Like a bunch of morons.
Yeah, well, people, dude, in this day and age, clickbait is king, right? Yeah, anyone can grow their social account by just lying and putting out dumb shit. So, they got a lot of attention for those fucking fakes last week.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, why are people? I don't know. People are just dumb. But I agree with Matt that basically wait. There's no really next gen games that are available. No. The only game that I have that is console exclusive to new generations is Godfall, and I will say that the graphics look great. Like, it's the best graphics of the 3 games that I've played out of Ghost, Godfall, and Valhalla. But the game itself is going to be forgettable. Like, the combat's fun, but it's very repetitive. There's next to no story, and you're basically playing through just very large dungeons. Right. So you finish one mission, then you go back to your home base, and then you pick up your next mission. You go do that when you go back to your home base. It's one of those games that was clearly, to me, it seemed like it was a tech demo that Gearbox was working on to test out what can we do with this system, and then they just turned it into a game. They put some sort of thin story behind it, and they're like, here you go. This is now a $70 video game. Yeah,
you gotta like that new $69.99 price point, by the way.
Dude, it's rough.
I don't know. So Nick's right. I'm right. I mean, if you can get one, my advice would be to fucking flip it and make some cash. Be that dickhead taking advantage of parents at Christmas time. Yeah. Do it. Because unless your consoles are blowed up, anything you can play on these new ones outside of gimmicky shit like Astro's Playroom and Bug Snacks, you can play on the 4 or the X1X or whatever the fuck the family of Xboxes we have now. Yeah. All right, so that was the opening, and then I closed Friday with my iPhone 12 Pro Max shows up. So I had a quite expensive new tech week, but Friday is where things started to go south. I'm talking to the point where Saturday night, no shit, I was down in my basement with the lights off, listening to music that I know gets me emotional in the fetal position. So here we go. I'll try to make this quick. So it all starts with the fucking iPhone. And at this point, Apple is Microsoft. They're no different. They're absolutely no different. Apple shit never works like it's supposed to anymore. It just works. That catchphrase, it's gone. It's dead. It died along with Steve fucking Jobs, okay?
Yeah.
I don't know what Timmy Boy's doing over there, but the operating system's fucked up anymore. You can't even pay me to try and download Big Sur right now. That thing can go fuck itself, because I know as soon as I install it, our entire cast system setup will probably break, so fuck you on that, Big Sur. But here's the kicker, and you tell me if I'm the asshole, people. I remember when you got an iPhone, cloning it was as simple as like beep, bop, boop, go. 50 minutes later, I have a brand new iPhone that looks just like my old phone. Yeah, it's kind of boring, but it takes out all the bullshit of setting up your mail accounts, passwords, this, that, and the other thing. It's just easy. Mm-hmm. These days, I don't know if it's the fuckery going on with Mac OS or what. But hear me out, Nick. Hear my logic. You're somewhat of a tech guy. If you had a phone that had maybe 180 gigs of content on it, would you not think that the fastest way to restore said content would be to back it up to a Mac and then directly connect your new phone with a fucking cable, which is always going to be more efficient
Faster
than a wireless signal,
to
said computer to restore the backup? Was I wrong thinking that?
I mean, I feel like that would be the easiest way.
And the quickest, right? I mean, we're talking a hardwired connection versus Wi-Fi. You can apply it to USB A, B, C. It doesn't matter. C is obviously the quickest. You can apply it to a LAN cable versus a Wi-Fi connection. If I have wired ports available, guess what? My fucking consoles are going into it and my streaming boxes are going into it, because I know that should be the fastest way to transmit data up and downstream. Well, I guess that's not the case anymore with the Apple architecture, because the restore took almost an hour and a half, and we're talking 180 fucking gigs of data. In 2020, you can move 180 gigs in 2020 in like 2 fucking seconds. So that happens. When it's done restoring, the phone didn't even fucking restore. None of my apps were there. None of my apps. So I'm sitting there going like, well, what the fuck do I do now? I'm not going to restart or restore. I'm going to be here until next week. So I'm like, I do what any other IT pro does. I turn the fucking thing off. The old reboot fix, right?
Yeah.
Guess what? On reboot, all my apps are back. So now I'm like, what the fuck? I have a $1,200 iPhone 12 Pro Max glitchy piece of shit. Like, how does it have no apps? I turn it off. Now all the apps show up. Okay? Still not done. Like, it's still fucked up. Like, it's still nothing set up right. It's not connecting to Verizon. Nick, it took almost 3.5 hours to clone my iPhone 11 Pro to an iPhone 12 Pro Max.
That is
that soured the mood for Friday, right?
Taylor got a 12. She didn't get the Pro Max. She just got a regular 12. And I remember she had some issues with her data transfer as well.
Unbelievable. I'm telling you, man, Apple is Microsoft. It's broke. Like, it always works. One more thing. It's all fucking sham now. But it's not over. Like, that's not why I ended up in the fetal position Saturday. So Friday comes around, right? It's a decent day. We're going to go outside. We're going to light a fire. We're going to watch some TV. Watching a show. My fucking Roku dies. Like, just fucking dies. Like, fucking screens all over the display. It's dead. It is completely dead. I tried troubleshooting. I tried doing a hard reset. Same thing. It just keeps coming to this dead screen. So what do? I smash the motherfucking thing right in front of my kid. She's like, oh my God, he's crazy. But that's how I deal with tech that fucks me over. So that gets us through Friday night. Then Saturday comes along, all right? I'm just like, okay, my phone finally works. I'm gonna enjoy these new consoles. Yada da da do, la da dee. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna turn on some of my lights because I have a Google Home. I got Philips Hue lights, a lot of IoT shit. And this is my fucking fault for trying to use technology to make life better in my house. Because I realized, I hit the Google Home app. Guess what? Nothing's fucking set up after the move. All my Chromecast speakers are missing. My home groups of speakers are missing. All my lights are missing. So now Saturday, I have to add all that shit back. And you're probably going like, oh, that's what did it to him. We know he's off his rocker. He can't handle that type of shit. That's what did it to him. No, that's still not it. After I got through that shit, again, we're trying to relax for the night. Out on the porch. Setting up the screen. Windstorm comes through, knocks the screen over onto the fire. That starts it. It's like, oh, great. Then I get the TV set up, and I'm like, okay, we're just going to watch on the fucking TV. Go to turn on the Roku. Can't connect to the internet. Why not? I have an access point literally right at my porch. What's going on? I look in. Oh no, flashing lights on the Orbi. Flashing fucking lights on the Orbi. Another tech issue for Matt to deal with. You can tell it's like, I'm already getting crazy just thinking about it. I spent the next 3 hours on a Saturday night trying to fix my Orbi satellite before I just realized, again, just like the Roku, back-to-back nights, I had a piece of tech just fucking fail.
Just fail.
But it's hard for people like me and probably like Nick and those of you out there that know you can troubleshoot tech. You don't want to lose to machines. So you'll sit there and you'll ram your fucking head in the wall until you figure something out. It took me 3 hours to just realize it's fucking broke, dude. It is broke. If it's not even taking a hard reset, it is broke. Give it up. So at that point, I mean, dude, I'm talking like I have bruises on my head. Like when I freak out, this is no bullshit. This isn't for the show. You can ask Heather if you know her. I was so worked up because this is what drives the anger and the hate. This is what drives the anger and hate. The whole time while this is happening, I'm sitting here going, this is my fucking day off. This is Saturday. I should be playing my fucking new consoles, not troubleshooting tech. And then my head just spins out because it's like, so I'm like sitting here punching myself. I was biting my arm, the old arm bite. That's from my video game days, the finger bites. That's how I ended up Saturday night just sitting here, listening to depressing music I listened to when my cat of 18 years died. Because I'm not human. I turn off all human emotions, and I need extra stimulus to actually make me feel like a human. And music is the one thing, 100%, that can give me a feeling of a normal person. So I was like, I need to feel some emotion Saturday night. So I threw on a bunch of songs about my cat dying to get me worked up. And that's why I'm just sitting down here as my family's looking at me like, Charlie's just going, I didn't fucking sign up for this. You guys brought me into this shit. Heather's going like, what the fuck did I do? Why did I end up with that guy? Right? And Sunday comes around, and what do we got to do, Nick? We got to fix the fucking Wi-Fi system. So that's the first part of Sunday. You got to go drop $450 on a new Orbi setup, the most current with Wi-Fi 6, because I'm not spending $250 just to replace a satellite when I can get current gen shit for $450. It's also how my brain works. That's why I buy too many fucking toys. It's justifications like that. Sorry, I know this is uninteresting to Star Wars fans, but I had to. It was rough. It started out great, getting all the consoles. Thought it was going to be great getting that phone, and then basically from the phone fuck up through Sunday afternoon until I got to see the Steelers just ramrod the fucking Bengals. Life was not good for your boy. Yeah. For your boy Haywood Pop, okay? All right, let's get to the Star Wars stuff. I just wasted way too much time about stuff that no one gives a fuck about. So, I'm still... the moral of the story, the summary of all that, I'm still highly chemically unbalanced in my head. Like, there is something chemically wrong here. It's not emotions. It's not the way I think. It's broken. Like, I need a fucking sign that says out of order. All right. Okay, Nick, let's get into it. We got a few things to dive into before we get into the Mandalorian S2E3, which will be the bulk of this episode after I just got done with my boring rant about how shitty my life is when I get a bunch of technology that people are dreaming that or wishing that they could have got. So yes, I know I sound like a complete asswipe, but that is me.
Yeah.
Do I think the 12 Pro Max is worth the purchase? This is coming from the live stream. I'm not going to say I'm an Apple Kool-Aid drinker, but I am an Apple person, because if you just heard my story about me having to deal with tech, just a brief history, I was in pro IT for about 7 years. I'm not in it any longer because of how much I hate information technology and troubleshooting it. I'm pretty good at it. I don't like doing it. I hate doing it, getting paid handsomely for it, and I really hate doing it at home when I don't get paid at all.
Yeah.
So that's why I use mostly Apple products. Because, I mean, outside the little nuances, I'm not getting viruses. I'm not getting hacked. They just fucking work for the most part. And yeah, I mean, you turn shit off, it usually will fix itself. In terms of the 12 Pro Max, it's worth it to assholes like myself that always feel like you have to get the biggest and best.
Well, also you do the Verizon upgrade, so you're not paying $1,200.
No, I subsidize. I basically just, my bill, I'm always paying for a phone on top of my monthly service.
Yeah, so Matt didn't go out and drop $1,300, $1,400 with tax on this new phone. Like, it's a part of his phone.
But I think the only upgrade the Pro Max gives you is the cameras, and it's like, so what? I mean, most of us, at least listen to the show, we have a DSLR anyways.
Yeah.
So who gives a fuck? I'm just an asshole. Like, I always got to have biggest and baddest. I've gotten over, I got to have the most storage because that's just stupid at this point. But so there's your take. I basically gave you a non-answer.
If you can get it on your phone plan, then go for it. If you have to pay for it outright, not worth it. That seems like what Matt was saying about the phone.
Yeah,
my weekend was good.
I've never ever just bought an iPhone straight up. Like, I've either traded shit in for it, like an old one, or just did the annual upgrade every year. All right, let's get out of this shit. I'm sure we'll get some other real life stuff in there, like fire Gina Carano, that stupid asshole. Stuff like that. But let's talk a little Star Wars before I get off track again. But boy, is she a fucking idiot, right?
She's real dumb. I mean, she does not seem to get the idea that when you have a job opportunity like she has, it's probably best just to, like, either stay off of social media or just don't use it the way that she's using it. But you know what? Everybody's got freedom of speech and the consequences that come along with it. So let her. Let her. Well,
I guess the thing that bothers me, Nick, is that a lot of people that are in her camp don't understand that concept. Because when you sent me that image in our Slack, he basically, I think it was Sunday night or Saturday night, she was trending probably because she tweeted something fucking moronic again or Trumpian. And it started dueling hashtags. It was Fire Gina and Save Gina. And if you read the Save Gina crowd, they're the ones that clearly don't understand free speech.
Yeah, they're just like, freedom of speech. She can say whatever she wants.
Yeah, she can, but Disney can also do whatever she wants. And if Disney gets enough pressure from other idiots out on social media bitching about the stuff, there's a good chance they will do something about it. And then, you know, that side's always like, well, Twitter said that, blah, censor, blah, blah, go in the parlor. It's like, if anyone says they're going to parlor, that's a buzzword for they're fucking dumb. They're moronic. They're probably racist, and they have no brains. Like, they have no
going
real.
To parlor basically says, I can't take people criticizing me or my thoughts, so I'm going to run to an echo chamber where everybody agrees.
Their free speech is basically, we should be able to say whatever the fuck we want and then never be challenged on it.
Yeah,
even if it's like,
agrees
even if it's like, oh, the Holocaust wasn't real. I mean, that's the type of shit these people want to engage in. And for those of you, and we'll end this here, for those of you who are like, hey, you know, you got to hear them out. You got to hear that side out. Maybe on fucking policy and shit. But at this point in time, what is that side representing? And especially like Gina, she's not bitching about policy. She's not saying, hey, I don't like Joe Biden's coronavirus plan compared to fucking Fuhrer Trump. She's basically saying, I don't like these types of people. I think these type of people suck. I think coronavirus is fucking fake. It's shit that's dangerous at this point in time. So fuck her and fuck everyone else that it feels the need to go to Parler. Go there and scream into your vacuum/black hole of fucking hate. All right? Have fun, because no one is listening. No one gives a fuck.
Yeah, not a lot of productive conversation happening there. So that's all the
I like Devin's in the chat. He's got a name for Karen the virus, aka Karen Dune. That's exactly what she has become. She's become a Karen. We all know what they are, and we all probably don't like them. It's just unfortunate now that we have to look at her fucking face on all this Mando shit, and we're probably going to have to watch her in this episode coming up this week, but it is what it is. So. Hello there. We got the old architect in here. Let's get to it. All right, Nick, so let's get off all the bullshit. On to some Star Wars news, starting off with a new Star Wars mobile game in development from Zynga. That's probably another Chinese company, right? Because they own everything at this point in time.
Zynga's US based. Okay. I don't know if they started out as a Chinese company and then moved over, but Zynga's home office is in Austin. So that's where I live. I know one person that works there. I know them, but I don't really converse with them often. Right. But they're making a brand new mobile game. There's no information about what the content of it's going to be. But
yeah, it's not. I mean, Nick just grabbed the Galaxy of Heroes screen here, so that's just like filler content.
Yeah, that's the Galaxy. I was just like, whatever, Star Wars mobile game. Here we go. Because there was nothing attached to it that was like, here's a screenshot. Here's something that's in the works. Blah blah blah. There was literally, it was just nothing. So their SVP of games, Jeff Hickman, had this to say about the game that is now in development. He says, "We believe that the Austin talent market is highly compatible with our mission of bringing AAA console visuals and deep, compelling gameplay to mobile platforms." So it seems like it's not going to be something like Galaxy of Heroes, where
that's what I was going to say.
Kind of like
this isn't going to be the old just brainless click grind type of shit, right?
Yeah. So if it is more of an in-depth gaming experience, that kind of worries me, because I was never the one to get into like long style gameplay, games on mobile devices, because I don't like fucking around my phone for that long. And like,
if we're talking Switch mobile, fine, but like a true mobile device, smartphone, tablets, I'm kind of with you. I mean, that's what I've been trying to play KOTOR on, and I can even zip it to my TV. It's like, it doesn't quite feel the same. And I'm with you. There was a mobile Star Wars game, and I'm not going to say it was AAA, but it was more like a game where you actually like tapped around, your character would follow you, and you could upgrade their armor, the weapon. It's actually pretty cool. I wish I remember what it was called, but it's been dead for a few years now. There was also that one game. It was what was that? It was almost a MOBA game, right? There's
Force Arena.
Yeah, that one was pretty fucking badass too.
Both of us played that for.
I love that. I thought that game was fantastic because it was real time competition. I mean, you only played against other people at the same time. So they're like, oh yeah, we have a multiplayer, but it's passive. I mean, you set a squad and people can challenge it or not challenge it while you're not playing. This game, literally, you match made, you would play live, you would have units, you'd have specials. It was fucking a blast. So I'm hoping it's something more like one of those two games where it is more suited to the mobile experience, quick little jaunts, not hour-long missions. You can fire it up, make some moves, put it down, take a shit, squeeze one out, that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and for those of you who are wondering, like, what games has Zynga made? I mean, they do work with big properties. So, like, they've made Game of Thrones games. They did Words with Friends. They do... they have a Harry Potter game out there as well. Like they've made a ton of stuff. I would say most of it is, you've probably seen it in your your store feed, and you're like, maybe I'll try it out. Like some of their games are more in depth than others. They make a lot of slot machine games, like those dumbass like slot machine games. They make a lot of like the brick matching games, like not really like Tetris, but like Bejeweled, where they make a lot of games for that old people play on Facebook and shit. Yeah, exactly.
Like the fucking dummy games. Although
we'll see
Sugo's
what they do.
pretty dumb. It's actually not. Like Sugo, if you get into a guild like mine, it is fairly strategic. Like the shit that some of these, I call them bosses. I mean, they're like capos essentially. Some of the shit that they study and know, like we do the Ki-Adi-Mundi mission, Nick, which is going on right now in Lightside Territory Battle. You literally have to use the Discord bot to look at your cam squad. It reports out how close you are to the recommended mods. So like you got to do that first. Then you actually have to fire up a Zoom session and invite one of the overlords in to watch your match and tell you what to do. And it's great because I'm like, fuck it. I don't have to think. But you begin to realize, like, people that actually study that game, there is actual strategy to how you mod and what moves you do and what buffs or debuffs or passives you use. I don't know. I still love it, man. I still love that game.
Based off of what Zynga's made in the past and what they're known for,
this is probably going to be a shitty game, is what you're going to say, right?
Yeah, I mean, what they've said about this game, like AAA console visual, decompelling gameplay, that's not really what they're known for.
Right.
They're known for gimmicky shit. So, I mean, I really do hope, and look, they make a ton of money, and I know that they're hiring a lot of people. Like, they're hiring basically a brand new team to build this game. Because I've seen the job postings in, like, you know, job boards in Austin, and like basically once they announced it, they dropped all these jobs. So it's kind of weird to me that they get this license and then they have to hire an entire team to build it. Like, you would have figured that you would have at least had somebody there. I mean, they're hiring senior level people to build this game. So it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. We're probably not going to see it for 2 years at least.
I hope not.
They work really fast.
It's been a while. I mean, SWTS has that's the only game I play on mobile these days. I mean, it's outlasted them all. I gave up on Strike Force, which was a SWTS clone with Marvel. Also well done. I don't know, if you get into these types of games and you want to play them in a somewhat serious guild, you kind of got to pick and choose. So I'm always going to represent with the SWTS. There's no fucking doubt. I'm on my way to getting my Jedi Knight Luke. Hopefully they'll drop that for the game's anniversary coming up. My gas squad is just unbelievable. I love gas, not only in real life but in the game. General Anakin, you pair him up with the 501 dude. What a fucking boss! Like, the only teams that beat him are Galactic Legends.
Yeah,
I don't want to stay on this too long because I don't think we have a lot of SWTS players that listen to the show. But if you do, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm always about a year behind the active meta. Nick's about 2 years behind the active meta. But when I do get there, it's like, wow, now I know why everyone's like, man, he's the best. You got to get him. And so I do love gas. And I have a feeling Ki-Adi-Mundi is going to be a must for some pimp ass Jedi squad. So I'm also glad that I got gas maxed out. All right, so these two idiots over here at the Star Wars Time Show, we'll keep you on top of this Zynga game once we see shit that pops out. Okay, hey, guess what? It's comic time with Matt. I know last week I said we probably weren't getting the next Vader for a while, but I'm stupid. We actually got it last week, so I put the video out there. I think all three of you watched it, so thank you for your support. Gotta love our fan base. They're always on top of this shit. Always giving us likes and comments and making sure our content goes beyond the algorithm in both Instagram and YouTube. So thank you. Thank you for being our fans and doing jack shit. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, Mr. O'Dizzle, get with it. SWTS is Galaxy of Heroes. If you play SWTS, you understand you can't use any of the names, right? There's Gas, GK, Hobo,
JKR.
JKL, JKR, DR.
Yeah, you don't actually use character names. Oh man.
We're getting some inside information in the chat here. Big Amish. He's a union guy. All right, go Union Electrician. He's in Washington State, and it looks like he's working on a building that is creating the Avengers 2021 game.
Oh, nice.
Nice. He's already seen developer kits show up in there. So you never know, man. When you're a blue collar worker, you sometimes do get to contribute at the ground level on some pretty awesome shit. I mean, when I was talking earlier, but when I was in IT, I worked in manufacturing, so I was hand in hand with, and I was basically the IT manager. So I worked with union electricians in Michigan. So the birthplace of the union, so we were pretty tight up there. But you get to do a lot of cool shit when you're working at that level, building stuff. I was amazed, like just watching electricians get something set up, like huge fucking panels to run multi-million-dollar machines. So yeah, good stuff. We have some good people that follow us, Nick. They just don't bring in enough. They don't promote the content. They're not.
Why are you not playing the Star Wars Time Show on your job site? Big Amish. That's the question.
Thank you.
That's the big question.
All right, let's get into story time with Matt here. I got a new comic to break down for you, and it is Darth Vader number 7, 2020. Spoiler alert. I'm just going to throw that out there for those of you that are dumb and watch videos that have recaps of Star Wars material. I'll never figure out those that bitch about that. Like, spoiler. Well, why did you watch it? It's like, why would you click on an Easter egg video for a fucking episode of The Mandalorian if you didn't want to know what happened in the episode of The Mandalorian? All right, but we know people are fucking stupid. Here we go. So last week I was kind of lamenting Star Wars number 8, right? It was kind of blah blah, and the Star Wars comics are always going to be a little more blah than the Vader. Vader's my fucking homeboy. We ride or die. He's badass. They actually use Vader properly in the comics, and by properly I mean he fucks shit up. So this comic continues right where we left our buddy Vader. Remember, he's missing both legs and his arms thanks to his buddy Palpatine, who wanted to teach him a lesson about being a pussy. Right? If you're going to be Palpatine's number 2, you can't be a puss. So he beat the shit out of him, drops him at Mustafar, same riverbank that Obi left him. And because of Obi and his hard-on for Obi, that just thinking about Obi-Wan leaving his ass was enough to get him to start dragging his ass towards some shelter. And that's kind of where we pick things up in Vader number 7. And he actually ends up in the same Techno-Union bunker that we saw non-robot Vader show up in Revenge of the Sith. And we do get some flashback moments. So that's why I've been liking this Vader comic, because a lot of times Vader will see the results of his aftermath, and then they'll kind of cut in the actual scenes when he was Anakin doing it. So he's crawling into that bunker where he killed all the Sept leaders, Newt, the Techno-Union people, all those motherfuckers. As he's crawling in there, the same mouse droids are there. They're still hanging out. That was kind of one of my favorite little new canon parts, was that he rebuilt himself in this bunker, Nick, using a lot of these scrapped battle droid parts from his murder spree.
Nice.
This is the best part, with the help of mouse droids after he punched a mouse droid out. So like a mouse droid was coming up to him like, oh, hey, guy, I can tell you're part machine. I'm here to help. You know, Vader, he's like me. He's like, blah, just fucking smashes it. And then it comes back dragging a battle droid leg to him like, no, guy, like a little pet, like a cat dragging some prey to you.
Trying to help
He's like, no, I'm here. Look, I'm here. So we start off watching Vader in this bunker. You literally see Newt Gunray's rotting corpse. That was nice.
Man, that's been there for a while.
Yeah, they just fucking left him there. Even after he built his castle, he's like, fuck that. Just let that Union bunker go to waste. So he's sitting there, you know, strapping on. He puts a fucking B2 arm on to replace his busted arm. So you see the Dark Lord of the Sith, still imposing looking, all broken, but he has like a fucking He-Man arm. Does he have like
is the arm cannon functional? Can he like shoot out of it?
I would assume so. He didn't need to use it, but so he's got a B2 arm on and I believe B2 legs or B1 legs. So I mean, he is as frank.
B1 legs.
He is as frank and fucking Vader as it gets, right? Yeah. As he is rebuilding himself, guess who shows up?
Oh,
Ochi,
it's got to be
right? Because remember,
the Ochi of Vestoon.
Yeah, remember, Palpy set the Sith assassin after him. Ochi all along's been watching Vader just struggle to put himself together. He essentially says, like, hey, you fucking piece of shit. I'm here to fuck you up because the Emperor thinks you're a wuss, this, that, and the other thing. But he's like, I wanted a fair fight, so I let you kind of rebuild yourself. That's all Vader needed to hear. He drops out. The fight starts. You're like, oh, Vader's going to kick his ass. But Ochi puts up a good fight. I mean, he must be a Sith assassin for a reason. Another little canon/egg moment. I believe the spear Ochi's using in this issue is the tip, is the dagger tip from Tross.
Oh, the one that
I mean, it's shaped the same. It's either that's how he just wanted all his blades, or he repurposed his spear because it looked like that was his main thing. He doesn't use lightsabers or any of that bullshit because he's not even a Sith. So, I thought that was kind of cool. But after a while, Vader's like, all right, fuck you. And just even busted ass Robo Vader. It has the guys choking him out with his B2 arm. Vader himself, Nick, is standing in lava while doing this. Like, just standing in lava with his robot legs. And Ochi's like, put me down. Vader's like, oh, you want me to? You better rethink that because I'm going to drop you right in this lava pit. So they're sitting there just doing the typical Sith shit talking, right? Like Ochi shit talking him, like, I'm here because Palpatine thinks you're a pussy, needs to toughen you up again. And Vader's trying to get information out of Ochi on Palpatine. I've been telling you all along, Vader's main mission from the moment that fucking face mask went on his face was to get one up on old Palp. He's a subservient bitch because he has to be. But he's always trying to figure out Palp's next moves and how he can get out in front of them.
Yeah.
So he's talking to Ochi, and Ochi lets something slip. And he's like, yeah, he's constructing something. He's building something that's going to be all powerful. And I'm sitting here, I'm going, what could this be? What is it? He's talking about Death Star 2? No, it can't be Death Star 2 because that already would have been building. I still don't really even know. So I'm hoping we get some answers on this. But why I'm kind of talking about this, once they start talking about this and Vader's like, oh, you slipped. You said something you shouldn't have. Something reaches out to Vader through the Force. Remember, Vader's not allowed to use the Force per Palpatine. So Ochi's like, oh, you fucking cheated. So he kind of gets the surprise again, starts pushing the attack. Vader's like, fuck you, I'm not using the Force. Something is reaching out to me on Mustafar. It's coming from this cave. So he starts running towards the cave. Ochi does a ninja flip over him. He's getting ready to blast the cave shut, but just in time, Vader sneaks in, and Ochi's like, well, I guess my job's done. I just barricaded the Dark Lord of the Sith in a cave. That was
trapped him.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that was easy. I wonder why he did that. And we learned that Vader, again, he's hearing something. It's calling to him. So he's walking through this cavern system. And he ends up at something that, if it weren't cut from The Rise of Skywalker, it probably would have hit with any fan outside of just nuts like me that know everything. But he runs into the Eye of the Webbish Bog. This is the character, the fortune teller, the Mustafarian being, the prophet, whatever you want to call it, that was in The Rise of Skywalker during the Kylo's Mustafar ground attack. We were supposed to see Kylo go in, kind of consort with the Eye of the Webbish Bog. Because what it sounded like in this comic, this thing has some sort of connection to the Force, maybe like galaxy-wide. And it may be able to see into the future, predict shit, see into the past, tell them shit. The comic ends with Vader meeting the Eye of the Webbish Bog, but I'm like, fuck Tross again just for cutting it and making things shorter. But it's like, that would have been a really nice callback here, right? Because you would have had Grandpappy Skywalker talking to the Eye of the Webbish Bog, and then all these decades later, his fucked up grandson that worships the grandfather also would have visited to get important information about Sith doings, Palpatine's doings. Because really, in Tross, I believe the Eye of the Webbish Bog was supposed to tell Kylo where the nav
Wayfinder
thing was at.
Yeah.
So
it was. I mean, that's what we thought. Like we have no idea.
No, it was, and the reason he cut it, JJ's like, well, what's the point? I could have literally just cut it to where Kylo finds it. It's like, who cares? For time's sake, we just cut it out.
Yeah. That's what happens when Disney says you only have 2 hours and 25 minutes.
Fucking joke. So another great Vader comic. As I said, the new canon. I mean, I just put Vader rebuilt his limbs with battle droid parts. I do think that is interesting. Okay, that's the type of fan I am. I like just as nonsensical little lore ads as that. I mean, that's fucking bullshit. Even Nick's rolling his eyes. He's like, what a loser. Like, who cares about that shit? But I do. I think it's interesting. Vader used battle droid parts from the droids he murdered, almost 2 decades earlier to rebuild himself after Palpatine kicked the living shit out of him. And then obviously seeing Newt's corpse, that was a nice little ad. And then the whole Eye of the Webbish Bog stuff to kind of tie things to Tross. So these motherfucking Darth Vader comics keep kicking ass. I'd assume at this point the next one's not coming out till December, and it is going to keep continuing this current run that we are on, where Vader is still trying to learn more about Palpatine while also trying to rebuild himself and get himself into Palpatine's good graces again. Excellent stuff on the comic front. But now for the real winner of the week.
Yep.
All right. And that is, my friend, The Mandalorian. In particular, The Mandalorian S2E3. And as I like to say, for those keeping score, or AKA, The Heiress. And holy fuck. All right. In terms of our predictions, I still think we were close, right?
I definitely said that he was going to see Bo-Katan on this planet.
So Nick was dead on. I didn't say Bo, but I gave you my general synopsis of how I believe episode 3 would thrust us into the main crux of the show, which it absolutely did. So just like I said last week, episodes 1, 2, and 3 of this season directly mirrored 1, 2, and 3 in season 1. You kind of get a little Mando by himself story. He realizes the big picture by the end of episode 3, and now we're off to the races for the final 5 episodes. So once again, I would like to congratulate myself first, and then Nick. Matt, you did a good job predicting Star Wars. I know it's fake. It's not real life. If you could predict the stock market, you'd probably be making a lot more money than you do. So yeah, thank you. Okay. Oh, thank you, Everett. Thank you. I do appreciate that. And Nick, you try. You do a good job. You did say Bo-Katan. So you two, you get honorable mention this week. Okay, everyone, clap it up for Nick. Thank you. But seriously, we're fucking good at this, all right?
Yeah.
Quit fucking around.
I will say that the one thing that threw us off, and it's because it threw everybody off, is like we both kind of talked about Sasha Banks' character potentially being a Mando, but then we called it off. We're like, well, she's not wearing a helmet.
Well, hey, we'll talk about that. And I'm not going to take blame for that, because we were following the canon, the lore, up until we got the actual download, right?
Exactly.
But it was masterful. I mean, we should have known she was a fucking Mandalorian. She couldn't have been anyone else. Especially when she popped up in episode 3. She wouldn't have just been a Jedi. We should have known that. I think we said that, but probably wasn't going to be Sabine, because that's too in your face. I'm actually wondering now about Sabine if she's just not even going to be involved, since they went right to Bo-Katan. And if you think about it, these roots have been planted back in the Clone Wars final season. I mean, Filoni didn't just, for fun, decide to have Bo-Katan seek out Ahsoka Tano for help, okay?
Exactly.
That wasn't just for fucking shits and giggles, and then they worked it back into Mandalorian Season 2. This is the master plan playing out now between Filoni's animated characters and Favreau's live-action The Mando. So I'm not going to take it up the ass for our miss on who Sasha was playing, and her real name, by the way, is Mercedes
Varnados,
I believe.
Varnado, yeah. that's it.
Yes, Sabine could very well still be with Ahsoka. That would honestly make the most sense, and that would just be like a fucking two-for double titty yank if that happens, right? Like, they don't even mention her. We got the Ahsoka mention, which we'll be talking about in our breakdown, but wow, that would just be almost too much for the season at that point. I'd be like, fucking chill out, Dave. Chill the fuck out. Keep some of that Mando load in your nutsack, my friend. There's no reason to expel it all over our faces every week. So yeah, I think we did a decent job on episode 3. We'll be laying down our predictions for episode 4 after all this nonsense. But we're going to have a little bit more of a deep dive today, especially for those of you that were idiots and skipped out on the Star Wars animated universe because you thought you were too good for it, whatever dumb excuse you had at the time. So we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive on the character of Bo, the Death Watch faction, the Darksaber. Nick and I both created what you would call Star Wars curriculum, right? To educate those that aren't in the know. But before we get there, let's just do our standard breakdown of the Heiress, which best episode of the season, I would say.
Potentially
possibly
best episode of the series. Right. I mean, this is...
It rivaled...
This is where
go ahead.
You see that John... Okay, this is what I'll say. Favreau created the show. Filoni made the show what it is. Because I don't think if Filoni's involved, I think if it's just John, you know, he does some of this stuff. Filoni makes the show what it is. Like, Favreau, yes, is a fan and he's participated in the animated series and everything like that. Filoni makes the show the best show on TV.
No, I'm with you. I mean, this show doesn't work with the both of them. This show doesn't work with one or the other. This is a two-man success story. Favreau had the idea, the grand plans, how to film it, pull it all together, do it for not trillions of dollars. Dave clearly is the keeper of the lore. Clearly his animated universe that he started with Georgie Boy is a main source of content for John's idea. So Nick's 100% right. In terms of the episode, how we usually break this down, if you're new here, we usually give just our general overall take. I think we kind of already covered that. Throughout, it's either best of the season, best of the series so far. It was great. It was definitely too short, but guess what? That shouldn't surprise anyone. The episodes actually started getting shorter in season 1, 2, and then I believe the final 2 episodes got a little bit back towards the 40-50 minute range, but it is what it is. This is what we're going to get. Sometimes it works because if you tell a story in a short amount of time, when it's snappy like that, sometimes that's what makes it so great, okay?
Yeah.
If they extended this story, us lore hounds, we would have loved to sit there and have a 10-minute exposition between Bo and her night owls and Din about the children of the watch and all that shit, but it's like, who cares? We got the main information. Move, keep the beats going into the action. Here we go. Darksaber, Ahsoka Tano on episode 4. Great fucking episode. All right, in terms of the eggs, they need to fucking slow down on this shit, Nick, because I've said this is now the 3rd week in a row where I'm essentially taking the same amount of fucking time to do one video than it took me to do 2 videos when I used to do...
Good thing you aren't doing that second one.
Yeah, no shit. I'm about to just drop the whole best moments part 2, but I like it. I like having the reference material for the cast, so I keep it up. But we'll go through some of the eggs because there's some good ones here. Faux show. All right. Up first, stupid one. We get that alarm signal. Same alarm that we hear on the Falcon as it is approaching Alderaan. I did like how they're all sitting in there sleeping like a bunch of turds. This guy, we got our Mon Calamari. Yeah, we're not on Mon Cala or Mon Cal. We're on Trask, but you gotta love this guy and his fucking sweater. That sweater is money. It's a fantastic fisherman sweater. I took a lot of shit on the chin for even mentioning that this might have been a remodded AT-AT.
I think you're pretty fucking dead on.
No, all I want to say to those people is get a fucking life. Those are 100% AT-AT legs. I don't care. Like, if the AT-AT manufacturer also made fucking cranes, those look like AT-AT legs, so eat a dick. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, those are definitely AT-AT legs.
That's what I want to say on that one. Moving on. We got a Quarren here. It's like if you're going to see Mon Cal, you're going to get Quarrens. Quarrens are the assholes of the fucking, their planet, right? Because they do share a planet. The Mon Cal were the good people. The Quarrens are dickheads, which played out perfectly to character in this episode, as we found out. There she is. There's Mercedes' debut. We now know who she is. We are introducing. Introducing her. I'm like fucking Russian now. Ruski. Please welcome Casca Reeves to the fucking party, people.
Badass
Casca
Mando
Reeves is greater than Cara Dune. All right. If we need to replace a recurring character, here is the candidate right here. I love this. I thought Sasha was excellent. I thought it was a perfect casting. She even used like a wrestling double leg kick jetpack maneuver on the boat. I think the way she delivered lines was competent. Basically, she didn't look like a fucking wrestler acting. Mm-hmm. And that's sometimes a problem. There's only a few wrestlers that have made it to where they don't look like douchebags on the screen, and that's The Rock.
It's really like
Batista,
John Cena, and The Rock,
and Cena.
And Batista.
I think Batista honestly is the best out of all three of them. What Batista does in Blade Runner, while it's just a short little scene, that's way more emotion, way tougher of a role than The Rock or Cena have ever had to play.
Yeah. I do think, like, if you've seen The Rock's TV show on HBO, he does a really good job.
Yeah, Ballers. Yeah. Dude, trust me. I mean, I would almost consider blowing The Rock. I mean, I was back in the turn of the 90s, of 2000s when he was peaking in WWF. I mean, The Rock, Mankind, Triple H, Degeneration X. I mean, that was the best wrestling ever.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And just, I mean, The Rock literally went from a doughboy to a fucking steroid growth, human infused monster. I mean, that guy, like, I don't know how he enjoys his life. I know he makes a ton of money. He's the most famous person in the world. But if you look at his schedule, I mean, he goes to bed at 10. He's up at 3:30. Work out, eat, work out, work, eat, work out, work, eat. He's like
one of those grinders, dude. That's what he gets his Johnny's off.
I get it. I get it. I mean, I live a routine myself with dieting, workout, and work, but not that fucking crazy. So
yeah.
Anyways, I really, really appreciated this character. She is a night owl. That's about all we know. Casca Reeves. A brand new character. I've looked. I mean, there's Bo had a cousin. His name, it was either like Corky or Koski. But this is a completely new character. The name's new for all I know. So she was excellent. This one, I stretch sometimes because my mind is all over the motherfucking place. All right.
I will say that I agree with you because that's the first thing I thought of too. Was this one?
But when I saw this, I was like, "Fuck, that's like the Nebuchadnezzar food system." And if you don't know what that is, you're an asshole because you're not a real geek. But from Matrix 1, that's the ship they're on. You know that's Morpheus's ship, and that's how they eat. It was basically like this slop. So I definitely got feelings of that. And then this, I mean, come on, that's a straight up motherfucking alien face hugger. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. There are a lot of Alien franchise references so far.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, Bryce. Oh, by the way, we got to mention Bryce Dallas Howard. Fantastic job. Way to go.
Oh, yeah. And the homage that she paid to her father.
We appreciate those of you in our Discord sending all that type of stuff. I mean, I do miss some shit. I mean, I don't get into like those types of Easter eggs, but she 100% when the crest was crashing, like his crash landing, was a straight homage to her dad's scene in Apollo 13. Or it was 13, right? Where they're coming back to Earth. So that was great. And it was just a well-directed episode as well. And there we go. This is when shit really hit the fan. This is probably when Star Wars fangirls got a little moist and when us fanboys got a little chubbed up. We saw it in the trailer, Nick. We saw that something shady was going to happen on his boat ride. I like the setup. I'm surprised Din was that fucking dumb to fall for that from a Quarren. But, they knocked the child in there. Din obviously goes right in after. Then they're fucking stabbing him and shit. And I was like, okay, what are we going to do? I mean, we knew someone had to come save him. But at this point, up until this point, I'm like, oh, what the fuck's going to happen? Like, we
had no idea that the Night Owls were even involved.
Right. Like, is Sabine going to show up? Is Ahsoka going to show up? Is it going to be a Jedi? Is it going to be the Sasha character? Are we finally going to find out who it is? And in a way it was, but lo and fucking behold, we get the true ruler of Mandalore, Bo-Katan Kryze, rolls up and basically mimics the save we saw from season 1 when Death Watch showed up, reached down and pulled Din out of his bunker. We're getting the same imagery here. She reaches in, give me your hand. She's wearing the blue, the Death Watch blue. Yes, she used to be Death Watch, even though she makes fun of them now. I bet a lot of you didn't know that, but we'll get into that in our breakdown. But when she showed up, I was like, oh my God, they did it. They're getting right fucking to it. They're getting right to bringing in major animated characters in live action format. And sure as shit, there they are again. We got the other one. The other night owl we met was Axe Woves. Fantastic names for these two, by the way. Casca Reeves and Axe Woves. Those sound like Mandalorian names. But we get the reveal that it's none other than Katie, which, you know, we've been talking about on this show for months now. I mean, it might even be a year old at this point when that rumor dropped. And it does make perfect sense that she is reprising this role. And by reprising, I mean, she voiced Bo in the Clone Wars and Rebels.
I will say that Bo doesn't age.
Well, here's the deal.
Like, you can go look at, I mean, I know that we're going from animated to live action and are not going to make her look old for no reason, but Bo essentially exists in canon during the Clone Wars time period to now. That's like a 30-year window.
Well, I looked into this, so I do have some ages to throw at you. For all intents and purposes, Bo-Katan has to be at least in her mid-40s at this point in time.
Yeah, she had to be in her like late teens when we first see her.
I read somewhere they're saying, let's just say Bo-Katan was close in age to, you know, a Kenobi at that point in time. They're probably in their early to mid-20s. Because let's face it, Kenobi aged horribly. I mean, George didn't understand it, but Kenobi in A New Hope might be in his late 50s or 60, and he looks half dead. Okay, so
I guess that's what living out in the Dune.
Exactly. Yeah, man, that dude sees a fucking bitch after a while. But back to Bo. We could argue she's 45 to 55 at this point in time in The Mandalorian. Katie herself, I believe, is in her early to mid 40s. So
she's still young. Youngish.
I would say
40 exactly.
Yeah, I would say it's not too far off to what Bo might have looked like in real life if we didn't just meet her as an animated character up to live action. I'm not gonna be one of these people like, oh, Katie's too young. It's fucking you're killing the time, like you're killing the canon. What the fuck? I mean, Bo, let's just say she's 45 to 55 at this point in time. Katie takes care of herself. She's 40. I'm 40. I look like I'm, 30 sometimes. That's all right. Good for her. If people take care of yourself, guess what? You're not going to look half dead. Don't fucking smoke cigarettes and drink all the time.
The way that, I mean, you could even say that she's younger, whatever, because the way that Mandalorian culture works and the way that this monarchical system of government works is like you are in line to become the next leader of your country or your planet when you're born, essentially. It's not like she has to work her way to get to the heiress of the Mandalorian throne. Like, she was the heiress of the Mandalorian throne once Satine became
because the Kryze clan. Like, let's just real quick breakdown. Think of Mandalorians like Vikings. They had a home planet, but on the planet they had, the Wren clan, Sabine's family. You had the Kryze clan, this clan, the Vizsla clan. They had all these clans. And at one point in time, the Kryze clan became the rulers of Mandalore through Duchess Satine. I don't want to really get in this now because we're going to be doing it.
Yeah.
But that's when things kind of split, and that's when Bo became a dumb fuck and basically was drinking the same Kool-Aid Din was, even though she makes fun of him now. But her sister wanted a pacifist take to the Mandalorian way, where Death Watch and Bo at that time, they wanted to stick to their martial roots, the warrior culture. But we'll get into that history. Don't worry, it's coming. So, yeah, I mean, she was in line to rule if Satine ever died, which she did because of Darth Maul and all that fun stuff. But I don't know. I think Katie looks fantastic as Bo-Katan. Everyone can go fuck themselves.
I have no problem with it.
I don't even know what the fuck this was. I think that's when her just making fun of This Is the Way and all that shit.
Child of the Watch.
Yeah, we learn about the Child of the Watch. Huge moment, right? Because we're all sitting there like, okay, well, is this just Star Wars fucking up its past like they've done with the movies where, you know, Obi-Wan basically looks like a huge liar based on what George told us in the prequels versus the original movies? You know, what is this Creed shit? What is This Is the Way? How come in the Clone Wars and Rebels, fucking true Mandalorians took off their helmets all the time, but now these assholes refuse to? We were like, well, I guess it makes sense. They went through the Great Purge. They're being hunted down for their armor. They've broken off into these coverts. You want to stay secret. But no, we learn that Death Watch, who rescued Din as a child, is a fucking cult. Yeah. They've always kind of been a cult because, like I said, Death Watch existed. Bo-Katan herself was second in command. She was Pre Vizsla's lieutenant in Death Watch. And that was back when they just wanted, hey, Mandalore should be ruled the warrior way, not a pacifist way. Well, in between then and when we meet Din, I guess is when they start forming this new creed.
I think it's probably because, like,
Death Watch,
they were essentially outcasts.
Yeah, well, Nick, they were responsible for Darth Maul's take over the planet.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they were basically responsible for Imperial rule over Mandalore post episode. I mean, like post.
They were shitheads. I mean, they were outcasts. I mean, for Christ's sakes, they had to live on a moon. They couldn't even like live on Mandalore. They were so wonky. They were so extreme. So Death Watch, they were going out saving these orphans and shit, and then they were the ones programming them like religions and whatnot from birth or from childhood. This is the way. This is how we do it. Keep your fucking helmet on. Say this is the way at least 50 times an episode. You got to honor your contracts. You got to do this. You can't break deals. So we now know that Din he's a cult member.
He's a bunker baby.
Yeah, he's a fucking Kool-Aid drinker.
He's like the kid who was, you know, who was like he was in one of those families in like the 1970s during the Cold War who went into a bomb shelter, and he hasn't come out of the bomb shelter until 2020. And he comes out and he's like, "Oh my God, what is all this that's happening here? I thought that the world was destroyed. Do you mean if like there's been people up here the whole time? Y'all aren't just like nuclear radiation
I mean,
people?"
he's been sheltered based on the philosophy of the Children of the Watch. I mean, even our beloved Armor is a nut job. Heavy is a nut job. They're all fucking nuts.
I mean, Heavy, we should have known immediately. Like, knowing this reveal has happened now, as soon as we knew that Heavy was a Vizsla, we're like, these people are probably a little quirky.
Yeah, I mean,
we just had no frame of reference as to like what other Mandalorians were doing.
No, it just goes to show you that Filoni and Favreau aren't fucking dumb. I mean, they've crafted a great little story here where they had us going down one path and then they just pulled the rug out from underneath us.
Yeah, they're like, you fucking morons.
And it all makes sense. Like it all adds up. I mean, I love the reaction of Axe when he saw Din react to them taking their helmets off. And then didn't say, "Hey, where'd you get that armor?" I mean, Axe immediately just said, "Oh, he's one of them." Like, like he's a fucking
dude. Axe was probably like, if you weren't in that armor right now, I'd beat the shit out of you.
I equate it to this. It'd be kind of like if you're normal and you run into a hardcore Trump person, and you're like, "Oh, you're one of them." You just automatically discount them because you know they're fucking crazy, right?
Yeah.
That's what Axe did. He's like, "Oh fuck, we can't rely on this nut job. He's a child of the Watch."
And now it makes more sense as to why Din was so in the dark about shit. Like why he didn't know about, like, we were sitting here trying to think, like, why doesn't he know what a Jedi is?
Right. He's like,
Bo-Katan is the most famous Mandalorian in the like, why doesn't he know who she is?
Right.
Like, why doesn't he know other Mandalorians? Well, now it all makes sense.
He's been fed the crazy Kool-Aid of the Armor in Paz. So
he's like the Jesus camp kid who's like, if somebody touches my pee-pee, it's going to shrivel up and fall off. and that's why he doesn't take his armor off.
You're exactly right. And I guess at this point in time, we should let the cat out of the bag for those in our Discord. Nick, do you have anything to say?
I was completely trolling you guys from the moment. I know that there's only a few people in the Discord who are like listen to the show and stuff. I mean,
like
Nick,
it's so bad. I don't even think Tones joined the cast. Like he's not even in here.
I will say that there are some things that I said that I was like, I was messing with you guys, but I really do think that Bo-Katan could just straight up beat the shit out of
Yeah, so I'll just, basically in our Discord, out of nowhere, it was fantastic. Like, you don't expect this out of Calm Nick. Like, maybe my crazy ass. But it's like Nick was channeling his inner dark side. I think it was Saturday or something, to the point where I had the intern texted me personally. I got to find like what he said. It was so perfect. Like the way he described it. He basically says like, yo, is Nick all right? Or has unemployment driven him to the 4chan side? Like where, Nick's like on these forums reading just batshit crazy Alex Jones stuff and is just this angry troller now because, I mean, Nick's troll game is one of the best out there. I mean, Nick is a perfect angry Star Wars fan, but he's not. Like, he knows how to fucking tweak people's titties. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, Tones was like, dude, are you fucking okay? Go beat off, go have some sex, calm yourself down. What the fuck's wrong with you?
No, yeah, I was fucking with everybody pretty hard. And I will say that in our fan responses for this week, there is a prominent member of the Star Wars Time community who actually agrees with a lot of what I was saying.
It was funny though.
I'm not out there actually thinking that this show is dumb. I love this was by far the best episode. This has turned The Mandalorian into the best TV show on TV by far. And then also, while Din's stature as a Mandalorian has now, gone down a little bit, he's still, not bad.
He's a fucking badass. I didn't even know what was going on. Even Nick's like, hey, you should see me. I'm working over 3 people in the Discord. I was like, wow, what's going on? And I looked in. It's like, holy shit, man, Nick is on fire. I mean, he just had a fucking blowtorch out there, like fucking lighting everyone's opinions on fire about this episode in Din Djarin. It was like, Jesus, man, is he drinking? What's he doing? But no, he was just getting people fired up. So while he is not he's not a troll in real life, but he knows how to play one on TV.
No, Bat is in here in the live stream saying, "Oh, he's backtracking." If I could show you our Skype or our Slack where I tell Matt, I was like, "Go look at what I'm doing to these people in our Discord." Trust me. It was planned the whole time.
Yeah, so he blew it now. He's not going to be able to get everyone again. But hey, that's the most active I've seen Nick on a non-show day since we started the site. So I was like, do it, man. Get him going. Get the people talking. I was wondering if he was on my video for this episode because it actually broke 1,000 views and got a bunch of comments. I was like, maybe Nick's out there trolling people in the comment section, getting more trolls to come in to drive the algorithm to keep the video being shown to everyone. All right, moving on with our Easter eggs because we got a few more to go. We got a Gazanti class freighter. This is something that first showed up in TPM. Also, I believe was in both of the animated series. This is the ship that they go after. Axe obviously making the, at this point, maybe tired joke about shitty stormtrooper aim.
Yep.
You got to mention it. It is a reference.
You got to bring it in.
We got the good old Imperial, we're getting fucked by a small band of rebels alarm, right? I mean, everyone knows that sound. Titus Welliver, a.k.a. the Man in Black from Lost, the black smoke guy. He showed up. I loved his little cameo. I thought it was a fun little character, and it played just to how Titus kind of plays every character he plays. We got the E-22 blaster. We first saw these with the Shore Troopers in Rogue One, plus a lovely young lady with a cool hairstyle holding one. You always got to like that. Here was the big mention, right? This was the big one. This is where we get the name drop of all name drops. I mean, the whole Bo-Katan in live action format was a fantastic little treat for episode 3. But then she got right to the next piece of the puzzle, which we've been saying is going to happen. I mean, the Rosario is Ahsoka thing is confirmed mostly at this point with this name drop. But she says, hey, I'm going to send you to this city on Corvus, which, yes, Corvus didn't exist, but is the same name as Iden Versio's ship in Battlefront 2, to go find someone named Ahsoka Tano. So that was...
So I think... have we heard them say in the show yet, before this episode, Darksaber? Have we heard that term?
No.
So this was the first time we heard Darksaber.
Yeah, when she's yelling about
it. She pins him up against the wall. She's like, does he have the Darksaber?
Yeah.
And then that's what he says. If you're asking, you already know the answer.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, this isn't just a cameo episode for Bo-Katan. She is... we're not going to see her probably for a few more episodes, maybe not even till the end or maybe next season. But clearly, her mission is to keep fucking with the Empire, but ultimately to get her goddamn Darksaber back. Because if you have the Darksaber, you know what that means on Mandalore. You are the ruler of all of Mandalore. You rule all the clans, and they will bow down and kneel to you like Zod. All right?
Exactly.
So that's big shit. So obviously, her mission is going to intersect with Din's again at some point in time. So let's get into the best moments. What do we got here from our friend Brian Harvey? Every time I drop by the Star Wars Time show, I feel dumber and dumber. Your knowledge is impressive. That is the type of service we provide.
That's what we aim for.
Yes, we want to make you the dumbest fucking human possible. But the caveat is you'll know a lot of useless information about a fake science fiction universe.
Yeah, which is the most important information to have in life.
Yeah, so I guess before we move on, let's address the stream here. Force Ghost is asking, is everybody sold on the Rosario Dawson casting? Jury's out, in my opinion. Yes, mostly because of the deleted posts from international Disney Plus accounts. I think it's a done deal. Verified
Disney accounts have come out and basically, like Matt said, they've accidentally tweeted and Instagram basically Rosario Dawson in this show where, Rosario Dawson plays live action Ahsoka Tano. So, I mean, while it isn't hard confirmed yet, like Disney hasn't come out and said anything that's stuck. Which,
by the way, they didn't come out and confirm any of the rumored characters. And so far, every rumored character has been in the fucking show. So...
yeah, so I mean, at this point, it's almost soup to nuts, 100% guaranteed. Yeah. It's
going to happen, and apparently she might be somewhat moronic like Gina Carano too. So hopefully not as dumb, but I guess we'll get there once she is brought into the universe officially. All right, so let's kind of wait.
Oh, he's asking, is everybody happy about the casting? I mean, to me, you're not going to get Ashley Eckstein to play Ahsoka because she just doesn't match up with the physical personification. Yeah, I mean, they'd have to
do that crazy shit where they essentially CGI in her head. Yeah, she's a short girl too. I mean, she's not very tall.
Yeah. I mean, I like Rosario as an actress. If that's what you're asking, like, do you like her as an actor? I do like the stuff that she's been in. I think that she has an appreciation for the property as well. Like, she's a big Star Wars fan. I know that. So
I mean, honestly, just based on some of the fan concept art, and even our buddy Super Scoundrel did one, I do think with minimal amounts of prosthetics, she has a face that could evoke a live action Ahsoka.
Yeah, especially 20, 30 years after we last seen her.
Right.
You have to remember that Ahsoka is going to have aged a lot.
Well, not really. The last time we saw her might have been right about now, because we don't know how many years the Rebels prologue was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Togrutas, they age like a fine wine, Nick. So I think she's going to look sexy with some big orange boobies. All right, back on track here. Brian Harvey, Habba-dooby-doo.
Harvey.
We speak your name. Go do some work, or I'm going to report your ass to Intel Brass, okay? Get back to work. All right, so best moments, at least mine, Nick. If I miss any that you thought, we'll let you shoot them out there. I absolutely loved the opening sequence with Mando fucking crashing the ship. I'm sorry. I told you last week, or maybe even in my video Easter egg breakdown video, I'm a sucker for stupid gags. I really am. I thought it was funny. He's coming down, the ship's falling apart. He thinks he's going to land, then right when he's about to touch down, the engine blows and he rolls into the fucking ocean, and the Mon Cal's just sitting there like idiot.
Yeah.
As I said in my video, sucker for love. I really did appreciate the frog people and their moment of reunification. Touching stuff. Oh, by the way, the person that played Frog Lady was also the lady that played Kuil last season.
Okay, so like the actual body.
Yeah. Obviously, the arrival of Bo and the Night Owls, fucking titties. I mean, that is the best moment of the episode outside of learning that Din is a Kool-Aid drinker, which is essentially this moment right here. He's a goofball, and he doesn't like to play with normal Mandalorians. I think that'll change. I think they'll be able to work him over with some heroic acts, this, that, and the other thing. But it was kind of funny to see him like, oh, I'm going to take my baby Yoda and go home, like that type of deal. Like, dude, you're not Kool-Aid drinker Mandos. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
What a pussy. He would have got fucked up too if it weren't for them, dickhead.
Dude, like they saved his ass
twice,
like 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times almost. I will say that he got him back on the ship raid though. I know you were making fun of it in your fake Star Wars troll, but the whole I'm just going to eat blaster bolts thing, I think that was a pretty heroic move. As I said in the video, anytime I now see live action Mandos doing any sort of combat, in particular when their jetpacks fire up, it's an instant best moment. It gets the more the merrier. I mean, we got 2 in episode 1 when Cobb and Din took off. This one we got 4, 3 Mandos and a Kool-Aid drinker. Fantastic shit. Obviously, the awesomeness of their combat prowess continued throughout their pirate raid of the Gozanti class freighter. That's where Nick was saying. I mean, you had Bo and the Night Owls were just kind of going through like blah 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 blah, and Din's kind of like, holy shit.
Yeah, like they made him look like an amateur, like he didn't know what he was doing.
Did you also notice?
They literally just walked through that whole. They didn't even stop moving. They just fucking walked.
Yeah. Did you notice too? Like they were even taking shots at dead troopers just to make sure that's how much they hate the fucking Empire. Like real Mandalorians, which makes sense. I mean, essentially the Empire destroyed their culture and murdered a bunch of their people. I mean, the Great Purge is a great purge for one reason. I'm assuming because a lot of fucking Mandalorians were wasted.
Rising up. Yeah.
But I don't know if anyone picked this up, but I think it's Casca. Like they're making a bend and she just no looks behind her is like shooting it clearly already down stormtroopers, and Din looks back like, oh Jesus, like these people are fucking angry. Which I like,
as they should be.
Yeah, I mean, just obviously Bo. I love the female Mandalorian helmet aesthetic. I mean, I like how their eyes are a little more stylized and whatnot. I mean, just fucking blasting shit left and right. I loved, and Nick and I were talking about this. I love when Bo trolled Din with "This is the way." Yeah, the one I'm talking about, because she actually at the end kind of says it in a genuine manner, like, hey man, we did it together, this is the way, like us working together, this is the real way. But in this exchange, this is where Din's like, wah wah wah, I did what you wanted me to, I held up to my part of the deal, I'm not gonna help you steal this ship to save a bunch of other Mandalorians, wah. And she goes, oh really, deal's changed, this is the way. I just like and he had nothing to say to her.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, when you need information, Din. By the way, hey Din, when you're the one that needs something from somebody, guess what? They're gonna fucking work you over until they feel like they've gotten more out of you than they're about to give you. Okay, just wake up, pal. So I loved how she just she's like, listen, I'm a queen, bitch. We finally got to see Giancarlo. All right, I love this man. Okay, I love Moff Gideon even more now. I've always liked the bad guys in Star Wars. A lot of times the bad guys are more exciting. They are. I mean, Star Wars good guys,
especially in this franchise.
Yeah, look at Din. He's a fucking Kool-Aid drinking cult member, for Christ's sakes, right? He barely even talks. He doesn't take off his helmet. This guy though, Moff Gideon, has some fucking personality, and he must have a huge penis, because I'll tell you what, man. I've only seen Imperial officers react the way to him when they react to Vader or Palpatine.
Exactly.
I mean, this guy pretty much says, oh, you guys are fucked. I'm not going to come help you. You crazy? Long live the Empire. You know what to do.
Yeah, scuttle this motherfucker.
Yeah, basically kill yourselves.
Yeah.
Fucking kill yourself. I mean, that's what he told Titus Welliver. He's like, you know what to do. Long live the Empire. Titus didn't even question it. He just was pop, shot his junior officer so he didn't have to deal with them questioning long living the Empire. And he just starts to fucking crash the ship. But luckily, our buddies came in and saved the day. But, I mean, think about that, Nick. He is a bad man.
Yeah, not even a moment of hesitation.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it reminded me of like SS or Hitler stuff. You know, even at the end when he chews on the Star Wars version of a cyanide tooth, he's like, listen, motherfucker, you guys can do whatever you want. It's going to be way easier than what that guy will do to me if I don't if I stay alive and I help you. So fuck you, I'm going to kill myself. I mean, that is pimp. I mean, this guy is a tyrant. And I want to know why. Like, what has he done to earn that rep? We clearly know he was involved with the Great Purge. What else has this motherfucker done within the Empire to have it to where they treat him like fucking Darth Vader or Emperor Palpatine at this point?
Yeah, I mean, there's a story to be told for Gideon that we're gonna get, and it's gonna be pretty awesome. So
there it is. This is Din's fucking put your head down and run. Nick had a great way to make fun of this scene, but he's like, he couldn't even fucking throw the bombs 8 feet. He had to run into incoming blaster fire, trip, and then
it was a straight ass hallway. All you had to do was throw them. It's not like they're going to shoot the bombs out of the air.
Right. I know.
Like, so he takes them.
I get it. I still think it was because if you notice all the other, the Night Owls, they were frozen. They were like, fuck it. Yeah, we can't do shit. Axe is like, I'm not sticking my head out. And this is where,
everybody was pinned.
I still have respect for Din because he's like, okay, fucking idiots. This is like, storming Normandy. We can't just fucking sit here. We're all going to die. So he was the one that's like, fuck it. And just, he's like, pop, 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 pop. I mean, just getting fucking whacked by blaster. I'd imagine getting shot by a blaster bolt in Beskar probably feels a bit worse than getting shot by real bullets in an armored vest.
Yeah, it probably still hurts.
Yeah, you're feeling it. I mean, it was enough to take him down to his knees. I mean, he's getting shot in the head, the arms. So I did like, if anything, I like the imagery. It's like, hey, he might be kind of a meathead, but this is what meatheads do. So there you go.
Yeah.
And then here, as Nick said, this is a good point. We get the shakedown of Titus's character. And this is where we get the true crux to Bo-Katan's mission. It's not just to get weapons. She is trying to build up a Mandalorian squad, an army, if you will, but ultimately she wants her fucking Darksaber back. And she knows, or she has an idea that Gideon has it, and this guy pretty much confirms it for her. He's like, if you're even asking me that question, you know the fucking answer. And the reason for the Darksaber's importance, we'll be getting that into our Star Wars school coming up, I think right about now, unless Nick had anything to add to any standout moments for you.
No, I think you covered them all. I mean, they're all pretty good. I will say that I thought the one moment that I thought was really awesome is like when Din is panicking because the creature still has Baby Yoda at the bottom of the tank. And then Bo's like, don't worry, she's got this. And then Casca dives in. And all you see is just boom, boom, boom. And then
flies out, rips the little bat. Was a great little action. It was like I said, I thought Sasha was fantastic.
She did great. I mean, she did really good.
Just perfect little side character, perfect little night owl Mandalorian. I just love it. I mean, a beautiful young lady. Like I said, she's got the physical assets to play a Mandalorian badass warrior.
And that's what they've not shied away from too, is like they're clearly casting people who can do this kind of stuff, like these physical style characters.
Yeah, I would imagine Sasha did a lot of the fight scenes. You know, one thing I do every time I watch a new episode now, I wonder is this where my buddy would have been in? Is this where my buddy would have been in if he didn't decide to have his fucking son right when he was supposed to be flown out to film The Mandalorian Season 2? Are you kidding me?
He definitely would have he probably would have been in the suit for Axe, I would imagine.
I mean, maybe doubling Axe. I thought he probably would have been in one of maybe the Quarren ship fight, playing a Quarren. Yeah. Or just a stormtrooper getting his ass kicked. But it's every episode now. I can't help myself but wonder, hey, which no-name thug or who could he possibly doubled in this episode? But I don't know. He decided to have a family and fucked it all up and missed his chance to be in Star Wars. The whole reason he wanted to get in stunts in the first place. Fuck.
Yeah.
I think it bothers me more than him at this point.
Probably so.
Before we move,
because you got something to show for it. At least he's got a kid. You don't have anything.
Yeah, nothing. I could have known all this shit because he would have told me. Fuck. Fuck. All right. Before we get into Star Wars School, just to give those of you that might not know everything about Bo-Katan, although I doubt that's any of you in the live stream, I think you're all pretty well learned, as they say, on Star Wars animated lore, but we're going to go through it because the intern asked me to kind of learn him on Bo and what he should watch. I got some comments on the Easter egg video for this episode, so I was like, you know what? I know no one's going to watch it because other sites have done Bo-Katan kind of retrospectives, and our SEO is never going to compete with IGNs or Screen Rants or whatever. But I was like, because I'm a nice fucking guy and I let our fans take advantage of my sickness where I feel like I always have to get my thoughts out on something Star Wars, I let them take advantage of me again, and then I created a video to learn everyone on Bo-Katan, in particular the episodes you need to watch in the Clone Wars and Rebels to truly understand her role in Mandalore's downfall, and hopefully upcoming through The Mandalorian, its resurgence into prominence. But we do have a question here from Force Ghost in the live stream. Very interested to see if Gideon is a Force user. This is something we've talked about multiple times. If he's not already a Force user, I believe my prediction was the whole reason he wants the child is to somehow... just think of a steroid example. He wants to shoot himself up and try to infuse, I guess, midichlorians into his midichlorian lacking blood. So I do. I think I've also talked like he might even be like a closet Vader worshiper or a Palpatine worshiper or just a Sith worshiper. You don't know. Maybe he's like one of these fucking acolytes that's been sending resources out to Exegol to help Shithead rebuild himself in a zombie body. So while he may not be right now, I think he has a hard-on for the Force, and he is trying to become one with it through more alchemy type of means. Okay?
Yep.
All right, Nick. You and I both kind of tackled this subject because I kind of asked you moving forward to get a jump on some SEO love for the site. Because really, these past 3 episodes, we've had brand new systems, planets, and characters mentioned. And if you're quick to the gun on the internet, you can go from being a shitty know-nothing site like Star Wars Time Show to a middling site like we're shooting for. If I wasn't doing the video, hell, at this point, I probably should not do the videos because the site would benefit more if I just wrote introducing Casca Reeves and Axe Woves. Because how many other idiots like me do you think on Friday were researching Casca Reeves and Axe Woves? A lot.
Yeah.
How many people do you think were researching the city of Caladan on the planet Corvus? A lot. These are all like little 200-word articles we could be throwing up. So I was like, Nick, moving forward, I might give you some notes on some shit. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to do a little dive on Bo, Death Watch, and the Saber. I was like, sweet. I'm going to go ahead and take it from these are the exact episodes you need to watch to learn more about Bo-Katan, Mandalore in general, and the Darksaber. So Nick's is more words and shit based. Mine looks words and shit because I have a lot of words to say about fucking Star Wars. I love talking about stuff that's not real. But I do have a video for those that do not like words and shit. But really, the general gist of my video is to give casual fans that might be hardcore Mandalorian fans a little bit of history on Bo-Katan and the Darksaber via Star Wars, the Clone Wars episodes, and Star Wars Rebels episodes. So the video, it's a little lengthy. I mean, I don't like to make long videos because I can't really make it more than 3 to 5 minutes on an internet video, but this one required a little bit of effort. Cliff's Notes version of it right here, StarWarsTime.net. I have the episode watch order in Star Wars chronological time that you need to watch. So Bo originated in the Clone Wars, but not until season 4. So she wasn't really in from the get-go. But what I have here, so I break it down between Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels and kind of let you know what season, what episode to watch. Now, the video will go into a little bit more detail about why these episodes are important to watch. For example, I throw in the Mandalore plot, which is S2E12 of the Clone Wars. The reason this is important, because this is the first appearance of the Darksaber in this new canon. You'll also learn about Pre Vizsla and Death Watch, what Death Watch is up to, who they are. Again, they are a faction of Mandalorians, like real Mandalorians, that do not like Duchess Satine's pacifist approach to governing Mandalore. They want things to be old school, warrior class driven. All right, so they're like extremists. They're the nut jobs. All right, we don't meet Bo-Katan until S4E14. This is her first appearance in Star Wars canon. In this episode, she actually meets Ahsoka for the first time. So their relationship goes all the way back to when Bo was still second in command at Death Watch. And I think that's something we need to make clear here. Even though Bo, Casca, and Axe were making fun of Din for being a child of the Watch, Bo-Katan herself was the second in command of this extremist Mandalorian organization. And you get to see her fuck with other Mandalorians in these episodes. This is where Dave really started to focus on Mandalore and what was going on in Mandalore, in particular with Bo-Katan and Darth Maul's introduction to Mandalore. And that starts in S5E14 Eminence. All right, I actually believe this is Bo-Katan is the one that finds Maul and Savage's pod marooned and kind of brings them to Pre Vizsla. Okay, so Bo was instrumental in introducing Darth Maul to Pre Vizsla and Death Watch. Next up, and this is kind of you know how in Clone Wars we would eventually get little 3 or 4 episode arcs. We get a whole arc here in season 5. So 14, 15, 16 is the arc of Maul working with Death Watch to help overthrow Duchess Satine of Mandalore. So think about that. Bo-Katan, with the help of Darth Maul and Savage Opress, arrested her rightly ruling sister Satine and threw her in prison so Death Watch could take over the rule of Mandalore. All right? Hey, she's not such a great fucking character, is she? She's not such a fucking hero after all, is she? Okay, so then in the, I think Shades of Reason, this is where they actually do have the takeover of Mandalore. They use Maul and some crime syndicates. Death Watch are shady. They essentially set it up to where they come in and look like heroes and saviors, even though they're the ones that let the crime syndicates start fucking with Mandalorians. So this allows them to overthrow Satine. Pre Vizsla, he's got the Darksaber. He becomes ruler of Mandalore. Maul's kind of hanging out. But what happens here? Bo and Vizsla try to turn on Darth Maul. So they used his ass to overthrow her sister, to take over Mandalore as members of Death Watch. Again, a crazy cult. But then they try to turn on Maul. He's Maul. He knows his shit. He challenges Pre Vizsla to a duel. Pre Vizsla has to accept because, again, these are the cult motherfuckers. And when you're watching this, you're like, well, this is a foregone conclusion. You're going to have Pre Vizsla with his Darksaber fight Darth Maul. Okay. Well, spoiler, Maul wins. Fucking kills him, claims the Darksaber. There you go. That's how Maul became the leader of Mandalore. Bo-Katan enabled Maul's takeover of Mandalore. Even though, like a year later, who is she coming to help get rid of Darth Maul? Ahsoka Tano. So Bo's an interesting character, like I said. All right, then we get into the lawless S5E16. This is where Bo realizes she was fucking stupid. She's like, what did I do? I enabled Maul to take over my planet because, you know, Pre Vizsla's dead at this point. Maul is the fucking boss of Mandalore. She's fucked. She goes and breaks out Satine using the enemy of my enemy is my friend bullshit. Right there, Satine should have shot her in the face. And by the way, I believe Bo-Katan's real name is Katan Kryze, because her sister is the one that called her Bo. All right? So there's a nice little lore nugget for you. But what happens here, Nick? They break out Satine. Satine's like, oh my God, you guys fucked this place up. You let Maul take over. What are we going to do? I know. I need my boyfriend, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So Bo brings Kenobi over. Her and Kenobi fight. They're fighting against Maul's forces, and the Maul's now Mandalorian super commandos. All mech has been installed of Prime Minister, thanks to Maul. Bunch of, Mandalore's just going to piss because of Bo-Katan and Death Watch. Don't forget that, people. Just because you think she's a hero because of what she did for Din, it's her reason. It's her fault. Almost directly her fault that Mandalore is as fucked up as it is, and what allowed the Empire to just kind of come in and take it over. So anyways, by the end of S5E16, Maul has murdered her sister, but Maul himself got his ass whooped by this guy called Darth Sidious. All right? So this is what we didn't see. This is I believe, the Son of Dathomir comic. They cover the period of Maul being locked up by Dooku and Sidious, and then Garth Saxon and them freeing him and bringing him back to Mandalore, which we catch back up with again in Season 7 of Clone Wars, which is where we move on to with our Bo-Katan journey. All right, so this should be more familiar with people because she showed up again in Season 7 in Episode 7. Remember, we see her with her Night Owls, Ursa Wren, Sabine's mom, and another one. They're following and scouting Ahsoka Tano for a reason. In S7E8, together again, we learn why. Bo-Katan, for some reason, needs a Jedi's help or the Republic's help to help remove this guy, Maul, from the ruling seat of Mandalore. And it's like, well, hey, how did he get there in the first place, Bo? You fucking shithead. All right, and then really S7, E9, 10, and 11, three of the greatest Star Wars Clone Wars episodes of all time. This is the Siege of Mandalore arc. This is where Bo and Ahsoka meet up with the Jedi. The Jedi are like, we're pussies. We'll let Ahsoka go because she's technically not a Jedi, and we'll give her some of Anakin's division. And we all know what happens. Ahsoka and Bo essentially beat Maul's forces. He's arrested. They leave the planet. Bo doesn't have the Darksaber, but at this point in time, again, this is still during the Clone Wars, Bo has sort of atoned for her errors with Death Watch and allowing Darth Maul to become the ruler of Mandalore. He is now gone. Bo is on Mandalore with a bunch of clans, about ready to take it up the butt from the Empire, right? Next up, Rebels timeline. And this is mostly Darksaber focused because of Darksaber clearly is important in Mandalorian. So S3E11, S3E15, and S3E16. Those are all Darksaber storylines. That's where we learn that Maul took it with him and hid it in his little dark side angry sad boy bunker. It's also where we see Sabine train with it and learn how to wield it and almost become the ruler of Mandalore herself. We see Bo again in the first episode of Season 4, and this is when she is given the Darksaber by Sabine Wren to become the unified ruler of the Mandalorian clans on Mandalore. And that is the last we knew of the Darksaber being in her possession. So what we don't know at this point is how she lost it. I highly doubt it was a duel. Gideon had to have stolen it. But I'm assuming the Mandalorian is going to be the vehicle now to fill in those gaps for the character of Bo, and obviously for the newer character of Gideon.
Yep. I mean, that's what we assume, is that we're going to get this story told in The Mandalorian. I mean, who knows? Considering that that's a big thing to try to cover during the Mandalorian timeline when you're still dealing with Din and his journey, unless that comes to a close. Who knows?
Dude, honestly, I think it'll be done like the Cobb Vanth thing. I really do, and I'd be fine with that. I mean, as long as they hit the marks. I mean, it could be, Bo was taking a shit and someone betrayed her and stole it out of her purse and gave it to Gideon, and he ran away going like, ha 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 ha. It could be something as little as that. I don't think they're going to spend a whole episode going on, or maybe they will. I mean, like I said, Gideon could be a Mandalorian himself for all we know.
It's very true. So no need to watch Matt's video now because he literally just recapped it all for you. So my article literally just tells you Bo's story in a shorter fashion. If you don't want to watch all the episodes to catch up, it just kind of takes you from, who she is and the significance of her in Star Wars, and, recaps her time in Death Watch and everything else that happens up until that moment.
I was long-winded on that. I can even tell in the chat, people are like, is Nick dead? He has zero interest in this, and I was seeing it too, and I do feel bad, but I put the work in.
We got like an hour left because Matt's got a hard stop, so we got to click on.
I put the work in. Check out the motherfucking video. Hey, Dagobah Days is up in this piece. What up? We're getting some new regulars here joining the live stream. Appreciate you. I told you to be like going to Star Wars school. I mean, if you're not into the nerdy shit, why the fuck are you watching the Star Wars time show? But my video on Bo-Katan is pretty in-depth. Check it out, please. Like it. Leave a comment. It failed. I mean, it was a waste of my life. I shouldn't have done it, and I will learn my lesson at one point in time. But I think I give you a pretty good backstory on Bo-Katan. She's not quite the perfect character that the Mandalorian makes her out to be. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, if you're watching Mando and you care to know about all of the characters that are going to be joining it, you really should just watch Clone Wars and Rebels. And then that way you don't have to worry about trying to find information online about who these people are or reading all of these different stories.
She's got a pretty
like
deep past in Star Wars outside of her live action debut. And she's not perfect. She made some pretty big mistakes. You could argue she's directly responsible for the current state of Mandalore. She is. I mean, she really did. She enabled Maul's takeover. She basically enabled her sister getting murdered. She made a lot of fucking mistakes. And you kind of get that sense in Rebels when she comes back, because at first she's like, I can't take the saber from Sabine. She's like, Sabine, you roll Mandalore. Let Clan Ren have a fucking turn. But she's like, you know what? Fuck it. I do need to
also like Sabine was just not interested. She's just like, no, I'd rather be with my rebel buddies. And so,
all right, so that's our mega super probably too deep breakdown of the Mandalorian S2E3 the Heiress. Real quick, we'll drop some predictions on S2E4, which is being called the Siege at this point. The synopsis is the Mandalorian rejoins old allies for a new mission. And anyone that's been kind of reading the tea leaves here, I think we all knew we weren't going to immediately get the Ahsoka Tano episode. Yes, her name was spoken in episode 3, and it seems like Din is just following whatever people give him from episode to episode, but trust me, she ain't showing up, at least not until the very end, if that. She will be in episode 5, and we've kind of had that circled on the calendar once we realized who wrote and directed that episode, and it is Mr. Filoni.
Filoni's episode.
So in this one I believe is going to give us the final bits of the trailer footage that we've been missing, and that's going to be the breakout of, I'm gonna say Mithril, because we know he's in that transport when Cardboard and Dumbass are driving it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that comes along, because we kind of thought that we might get a reason to break Mithril out of whatever this prison was in episode 3.
Dude, you know what it's going to be, because if we can pick on anything about the Mandalorian season 2, it's every episode so far has been the exact same plot. Mando needs something for his quest. He runs into somebody that can help him, but he has to help them first before they help him. So you know for a fact he's going to be going back here like, hey, I finally know what I got to do. I find this Jedi lady. I could use some backup or something, right? And they're going to be like, oh, Mando, right? You know, cardboards will be like, oh, Mando. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I'd love to help you, but you remember that guy had you lock up? He's got something we need. How much you want to bet?
Yeah.
How much you want to bet?
We need him back. So, I mean, that'll be what leads us into this prison break.
Yeah. So my prediction,
because there's really no other reason for him to be there. Like, he already knows, like, all right, I got to go to Corvus. Does anybody want to help me go to Corvus?
Exactly. So like, so here's at least I'll drop my take, see if Nick brings in one of his home runs like last week where he mentioned Bo. He's going to go, he needs to go back to Navarro to either get something from these people or the people themselves. They're going to be like, oh, fuck yeah, we'll help you, but the but is going to be the prison breakout, the siege, which if it's a siege, I don't know, that doesn't sound good for them. Are they getting locked up in the prison and they're getting the shit kicked out of them or what?
I think this may be the episode where he loses the baby. Because something's got to delay him before he gets to Ahsoka.
Or he goes to Ahsoka and he's like, yo, I was bringing you a baby Yoda, but I lost him, and now I really need your help.
Yeah, it's like now, you know, there's this guy, Moff Gideon. I don't know if you know who he is.
Are you running with that? That'd be huge if you hit. I'll let you take the glory. Are you running with, by the end of 4, they will be separated?
Yeah.
All right. Nick's.
Nick's got the balls. This is my guess.
We do know it's going to happen thanks to Giancarlo, right? He said they will be alone at one point in time. And now that Nick said that, here, I'll kind of expand upon it a bit. Let's say Gideon shows up in this episode and uses the Darksaber in a way that makes these 3 people realize that they can't take him on with just Mandalorian power. Right? Like, makes sense. If we're going with the baby's going to get taken, which could very well be, and it would make sense. But if we're also going with Ahsoka's going to be in episode 5, so they're still going to meet, is he meeting her in 5 with the child still, or is he meeting her in 5 basically going, I really fucked up big time? These guys have a fucking super powered force user baby in their possession now, and he just kicked my fucking ass and stole them. There's not a single trick in my bag that I can use to defeat him. I need your sorcery shit. Yeah,
and I lean on that. I lean that way, and I agree that I think Gideon's going to show up with the saber. And I don't want to say this kind of proves it, but like, I remember when we were going through all the screens that we were getting before episodes started to come out, and in one scene, in one screen, I think you said Star Wars Explained or Star Wars Theory said like you can see the glint of the Darksaber in Baby Yoda's eye. Yeah. And the one thing that we called out about this episode is that, like, in all of the screens that we've seen for episode 4, you don't see the baby. Like, you don't see him there.
Yeah, and we know Pelly's not on Navarro, and the frog people aren't on Navarro. And so far, those are the only people.
There's really nobody there that he can trust to take this child. Like, unless...
Right, and the child's such a delinquent now, he can't leave him in the Razor Crest, which, for Christ's sake, I mean, at this point, is still going to be missing parts of it, because when it jumped in the fucking hyperspace, it lost a panel that the Mon Cal put on there. So you can't leave the child in the ship, because he'll either blow it up or steal it or crash it, the way he acts these days. So yeah, we have been saying that. So I think our predictions have been laid. I mean, it's very clear that he's going back to Navarro. He's teaming up with these guys for some sort of a raid on an Imperial installation. That raid is going to result, for some reason or another, in Mithril being freed, and with Grief and Fuckface in the Imperial transport we've seen being chased by speeder bikes.
Yep.
This is probably also going to be the episode where we're going to see Din flying around Navarro with his jetpack and TIE fighters taking off and shit blowing up. And as Nick said, and I think it's a bold prediction, but it's a strong prediction, this is going to be the episode where the child is separated, which is going to make Mando's mission to find Ahsoka even more dire, to kind of get some support to help him with this remnant Imperial Moff badass.
I think, too, if you've just watched this season play out so far, 3 episodes in, the baby's played basically a nothing role.
And that's fine.
Like, he's just,
I've loved that.
Like, yeah, like he's just been there as like filler, being cute, stuff he's that. But
comic relief.
Yeah, but we know he is an integral part of this show, so I don't think that you can leave him out for much longer. Like, leave him out in terms of big story points for much longer.
Well, hell, dude, maybe episodes 5 where we finally get into the new delivery that Favreau was telling us, where we may not just be following Din. You know, maybe episode 5 is Din, and then we get a screen wipe, and it's Gideon in baby time. Maybe we need to. Maybe they start kind of branching out, like John promised. We may start seeing in a very Game of Thrones like fashion.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, I think that would make episode 4 like the turning point episode for this season. Like, now he has his mission like he kind of had in 3 from season 1, but this is like the turning point, which would make it a little bit different from season 1, because 4 was kind of a season. I mean, episode 4 was Bryce's last time, I believe, and that was the one where he was on that.
Well, yeah, at like that point,
village.
Yeah, at that point, he realized that what he just did in episode 3 has made him a marked man. So he was just trying to find ways to hide and get rid of the kid so it would live. And then by 8, he is charged with the quest, and now it's not, he just can't ditch it on a water planet.
Yeah. So now he may legitimately lose the child because, he walked into this Imperial Remnant base and, got more than he could bargain with.
Yeah, so we'll see. So things could be getting quite dire by the end of episode 4 here, and maybe the whole re-edits or reshoots that the KR team boys were poo-flinging. Maybe that was Disney just doing like a hatchet job, and they're gonna like almost like George's remakes of the Greedo scene. They're just going to add in a random blaster bolt that hits Cara Dune, and she just like falls over, and they're like, oh.
It's like, oh no. Well, guess what? We have Cara. We have Bo-Katan now. So
it's such a shame, because I did like the character, but now I'm telling you, just even looking at the image on our post, I'm just like, that's not Cara Dune. That's a fucking idiot. That is a fucking real life moron that just doesn't know when to stop.
That's why, this is why I said last time, man, like, I just don't really fuck with social media anymore. I just don't watch it. I don't look at it. The only time that I do is like, I'll scroll Twitter every now and then, because I follow people who stream, and I'm like, are they streaming? Like, I follow Felicia Day because I like watching her streams and her content that she does with the guild and stuff, but I don't really fuck around with it that much. I didn't even, I sent Matt the screenshot that hashtag for Gina was trending. I didn't even look at what it was. I was like, I'm not getting into this.
I'm a doom scroller, unfortunately, but me personally, outside of sharing my shitty toy photos on Instagram, that's it. Like, I no longer, no one gives a fuck about my opinion, and my opinion's probably only going to get me in trouble. I don't even know why I do this show half the time. I mean, this show's probably going to sink me one day. I don't think
one day.
I haven't said anything that fucking dumb yet, but I don't know. It's like some people like to destroy themselves while thinking that they're making a point that makes them look smart, patriotic, like they know. I don't know. I don't get it. But she's taking a blowtorch to her Hollywood career. I mean, if you want to be honest, those fucking Hollywood liberals, fuck them, let them die. It's like, okay, fine, but you're still a lot of the dummies sitting here fueling Hollywood, watching all the shit and eating it up. So she could be a moron and not let the world know, I guess is what we're trying to say.
Exactly. It's just like, you can have your own thoughts and beliefs and what you want to think and stuff like that, but realize if you throw it out there, there's shit can not go well for you.
Don't feel bad if shit goes south. And it's not the libs or the libtards or the angry left. It's you. You're the reason. Like I said last week, I'm not going to get into it again, but these people are the reason they get canceled. Not liberals, Democrats, the media. These people are the reason they get canceled.
Yeah, if the person is worth more than public opinion, then the people who hired them wouldn't do anything about it. So, right. I mean, whatever. I will say before we get off the Mandalorian stuff, because we're running short on time and we still got some toys to go through, top 5. A lot of bigger outlets are starting to pick up on my idea that I had before this season even started, that the Mandalorian is going to take on, like, the Mandalorian title is going to take on a different meaning for this show.
Whip that big dick out, Nick. Let them know.
Yeah. Like, it's not going to be like, Din is the Mandalorian. Like, the Mandalorian is going to take on a very wide scope. You know, now that you have Bo-Katan and the Night Owls in here.
You never know.
Now that potentially, you know, we could get Sabine Wren thrown in here with Ahsoka Tano. Like, you're looking at the Mandalorian now as a very wide open term and not just like we're following a Mandalorian.
You did hear it here first, and Nick said it.
Yeah, and like that was literally fucking weeks ago.
We will speak his name and we will line up favors to be given to him if he is right. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Let's go. But, those of you that like to be fluffers, Nick will need your services.
Mando's just turned in, like, Matt typically, I mean, not typically, he always watches the episode before I do. And this week he's like, Mando's best thing on TV now, hands down. And I hadn't seen it yet. And then after I watched it, 100%. I mean, like, it was probably the best thing on TV before this episode. But this episode in particular has cemented
There's no question. And it's not just because I'm a Star Wars freak. It's fantastic. I will say, I just started watching this on Apple TV or whatever the fuck it is. Ted Lasso is fucking phenomenal.
I have not.
It's Jason Sudeikis. He plays an American football coach that gets hired to be a soccer coach over in England.
I have seen trailers.
So it's kind of it's a comedy, but it's just really well written. Mm-hmm. Great jokes, great concept, and it actually has a little bit of heart to it. So it's not just like a fuck fest, you know, like just a silly, you know, comedy. It's a very good fucking show. Every episode I watch, I laugh out loud. All right.
Yep.
As Nick said, we got to get going. And honestly, I'm about to piss my pants. So we got to get through these toys so I can take a leak while Nick's doing fan question of the week. But yesterday for Mando Monday, they kind of made up from this was a Fan Friday. I'm sorry. There was a special Hasbro Fan Friday last week where I think they announced new toys for Transformers, G.I. Joes, and Star Wars. And the Star Wars lines, at least Black Series Collector and TVC, got a little surprise. I mean, if you don't follow Yak Face, that is, which our entire following does, and because they're Yak Face said this, and I get it. I've went to Yak Face for years before I was even doing my internet stuff. He is one of the best out there for hunting down Star Wars toy leaks and shit like that. But anyways, we got the official reveal. We're going to get a Black Series version of Asajj Ventress, as well as, at least this point, 2 of the members of Bad Batch. I think the Bad Batch characters look fantastic. I love that they're the type of clones that have detailed painted faces in addition to their helmets. You're getting just 2, not all 4 yet, which is odd that they'll probably be coming the next Mando Monday or down the road. I will say these have all been pre-ordered, and luckily I got them through Entertainment Earth on some commission credit, so I got these for fucking free. Finally, motherfuckers.
Nice.
I mean, we don't ask you for shit. At least when I post something that has an Entertainment Earth link, use it and buy stuff.
Use it. Yeah. You're not going to get anything off, but it does give Matt a little extra.
Right. So I did order these. I mean, a lot of people that were kind of bitching about the Ventress. I don't see issues with her. I probably would have preferred later Clone Wars Ventress, where she's been cast aside by Dooku and is kind of a merc. But this is Clone Wars correct Ventress. There's no doubt about it. With more of a live action type of face like they've been doing. So those are sweet. You can pre-order those over at Entertainment Earth. Use our link if you haven't already done it. But knowing you, nut jobs, everyone already bought these just like I did. Mm-hmm. And then the other one, we got the Vintage Collection Zutton. He's one of the Cantina patrons, I believe. He's also up there for pre-order. So, Black Series figures look good. And TVC continues to really push its boundaries for these small figures. You got to think about what the TVC crowd did with that HasLab project. I think they got it to almost 23,000 backers, and they added 8,000 over the last few days. And because there's a lot of people in the Star Wars 375 community that bitch like, hey, don't forget about us, Hasbro. You're always giving the good shit to Black Series line, this, that, and the other thing. And I don't know, maybe the HasLab project will make Hasbro realize that I think a lot of collectors that are my age or even older are still drawn to the 3 3/4 inch because that's what we grew up with, and obviously they're a little cheaper.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hasbro's, they're putting out great stuff. It's just as long as they're not retailer exclusive, we're good. Okay. These guys were all fine. They sell out on Hasbro's site in 2 seconds because Hasbro doesn't like making direct sales for some reason. They want to take a loss and sell through third-party retailers. But you can still get all these around the internet. Yesterday was another Mando Monday, and Lucasfilm is not stopping with the fire hose delivery of new Mandalorian collectibles. Like I said, it's everything now. It's not just figures, but that's all we focus on here. And just real quickly, we finally got the final figures we needed from the Mandalorian Season 1 wave in the form of our homie Grief Cardboard, Moff Gideon, and the lovely Ugnaught Kuiil. Okay.
Yes.
All these, again, they're not retailer exclusives. You should be able to snag them at all the usual suspects like Entertainment Earth, this, that, and the other thing. So yeah, they're out there. You can get them now. I also pre-ordered these through Entertainment Earth because they had them in stock. And that's usually what people do. If it's in stock, they'll buy it from you. You hear me, Hasbro? You hear me, Hasbro Pulse? What's the fucking point of creating a VIP sign-up when we go and try to buy standard figures on your site and they're sold out within 3 minutes?
Not okay.
I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me because I feel like and I've said this before, if I am the manufacturer and I can sell my own shit, I have to be making more money on that sale than if I have to sell it to a middleman and then that sale goes to the customer. But what the fuck do I know? Nothing, clearly. One other thing in the world of Star Wars collecting and toy photography that I just thought of because I saw Dagobah Day show up here. I don't know if he's still here, but this dude is making 1/12 scale Razor Crest, Nick. 1/12 scale is for the 6-inch figures.
Yeah.
And I believe they're retailing for $2,000 a pop. I think he did like 8 or 10. I believe all the orders have been snagged, but I can't wait to see what that fucking thing's going to look like.
That's insane.
And that's going to be as big as probably my little kid's Power Wheels land speeder.
Like a little car.
Yeah. It's going to be fucking ridiculous. We all know Dagobah Days is quite talented at his dios and custom creations, so I will be checking that out.
That's insane, man. Wow, yeah. I want to see pictures of that. I'm sure. I hope that at least one of the 8 that snagged that is somebody that's a follower of the Star Wars Time Show or somebody that we follow and share. Because I definitely want to see.
Yeah, and I also hope that no one goes to prison for this because I'm still not sure how this is all on the up and up. But hey, it is what it is. I'm all about people trying to make some scratch, so have at it.
Because he didn't make the Razor Crest; he made the Blazer Crest. And
yeah, the good old bootlegs like Bork Skyskicker and stuff like that.
Yeah. So it's not the Razor Crest;
it's the
Blazer Crest.
R2 Poop 2.
The big difference is that the P tube is different in the Blazer Crest than it is in the Razor Crest.
I used to when I did Entertainment Boot, I'd be on all sorts of press mailing lists, and I had this one company that only worked in bootleg figures, and most of them were Star Wars, and they'd send me samples or just images, and some of the names were just fantastic. Like I said, I think one of the series, he called it Stark Wheels. Like it was Stark Wheels, and then it had, like Skyhopper, shit like that. It is funny what the little things you can change to get around licensing.
Yeah.
Okay. Last but not least, in the new toy scene, I'll do this real quick. But Greggy Boy's favorite line is getting a new figure, and that's Beast Kingdom's Egg Attack. They unveiled a Mandalorian full Beskar Mando at that, and I'm not gonna lie, I do still appreciate the chibi look, and this seeing full Beskar Din with the child in the Egg Attack format. It is a nice looking figure. I'm not gonna lie. If you like that style, I do dig it. But as I've said over the past few weeks, I really need to start limiting my lines. I didn't get the Samurai Din. I'm not getting the Egg Attack Din. But I have a good feeling that our boy Greggy Bird will be snagging this one. So make sure to check out Star Wars Black Series 2019 when this guy releases to look for some shots.
Because he will be on it for sure.
Yeah.
That's all the toy news we got this week. I'll let Matt go ahead and hit the head.
Oh, dude, it's killing me. Like, I don't even know how I got through that. I mean, I'm about ready to have urine start leaking out of my tear ducts at this point. So,
so I'm going to hit the question of the week. I'll leave the 2 long story responses for Matt when he comes back.
Right,
and I'll hit up all of our...
You want to start with OAC? You want to start with OACs?
Yeah, I'll start with OAC.
All right, I'll be back. Go.
Okay, question of the week this week is, like it will be every week, Greg, since you asked on Facebook, I wonder what it's going to be next week. We covered that since Mando's rolling on, the question of the week every week is going to be, what was your favorite part, or what was your favorite thing about each episode of the Mando? So this is S2E3 Mando. Give us the details of your favorites of this episode. So OAC, he hit us with a bit of a long response. So I'll read that. I'll leave the other 2 longer ones for Matt to cover. He says, well, late entry. There are so many good parts of this week's episode that make it hard to choose my favorite. Of course, Bo-Katan and friends will have to take the glory on this one. See original Clone Wars characters fully brought to life makes me so happy. That first moment seeing Bo show up to rescue Din from his rookie mistake was a goosebump moment. But in the end, my all-time favorite moment was when Bo was chatting with Din about his upbringing as a child with a watch, telling him shortly who they are, and that this is the way is not the way. I knew that there was something weird about these Mandos from the start. Mandalorians are warriors that wouldn't care who saw their faces. Mandalorians aren't afraid. So why are the children like that? Bo said they were trying to revive the old ways of the Mandalorian. Well, they may be badass, but still kind of acting cowardly to me. Bo and the real Mandos, that's where it's at. Oh, sorry for missing the show last week. Been catching up with work. No problem.
All right, we'll accept it, OAC. Don't ever let it fucking happen again.
See, even OAC's got a little bit of the real Mando stuff going on. He, like everybody's getting into this. Like Dan isn't a real Mando. And even if you think about, I mean, again, this isn't really canon anymore. But if you go back to old canon, to old Mandalorian ways, back in the Mandalorian Wars, they took their helmets off. Fucking Canderous Ordo was always without his helmet.
And I'm not angry at John or Dave. I like how they played this hand. I do like it.
They did.
They fooled all of us, and it's fantastic because it adds just more layers to Din himself, Mandalorian culture, and ultimately Star Wars lore, and that's what we live for. So, I was all about it, and I would like to get a little more on why Death Watch became so extreme, because even Death Watch, at least when Pre-Vizsla and Bo were in it, they were taking their helmets off too. So
yeah, I feel like it had to be whoever. I mean, the Watch is what Death Watch turned into. So whoever took over Death Watch post death of Pre-Vizsla and like after everything had gone down with the Purge,
right?
Whoever was leading that faction had to be like some sort of hardcore nut job.
Yeah, it could very well be Paz or the Armor herself.
I would say it could be the Armor, because the Armor was the one who was the most strict about the creed.
Yes, so. I mean she's the one spouting it off like Yeah, and basically let the two guys almost kill themselves, and then she's like, hey, have you ever taken your helmet off? No. You? No. Okay, well then shut the fuck up. This is the way. And they're all like, this is the way. You know, they're like fucking...
Yeah, like, literally like brainwashed Jesus.
Hitler! I mean, that's basically what they are. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on here. I'm taking action figure noobs, right? Okay.
Yes. And then you got Darth Hideous after that, and I'll cover the rest.
All right. So Nick, we'll see you in about 10 minutes. Yeah. All right, so this one is from our buddy Action Figure Noob, one of our more well thought out commenters here. Definitely a student of Star Wars and an action figure collector extraordinaire. Here we go. Overall, I loved all the humor. Nothing ever feels forced on that aspect in the show, but here's some highlights of mine. : It was such a sweet moment when Frog Lady reunited with Frog Guy. I agree. The music during that scene was fantastic too. To me, it sounded like hearing a nice town song just when you get into a village in an RPG game. But I found it a bit dickish though. Frog Guy let Frog Lady run all the way up to him after a stressful Uber ride while carrying a big canister of their soon-to-be children. True. When the Quarren dude sits with Mando and he says, I hear you're looking for more of your kind. I love his voice and the way he said it, so Western-like. When Bo-Katan took off her helmet and knowing it was her, my jaw dropped and stayed like that for the duration of that scene. And that look she gave the child, that's the moment that felt like this show actually connected to the animated series. It's the subtle things, man. Put a tear in my eye. Loved Mando's little daddy talk to the child when he was leaving him with the frog people. I found it hilarious. You know what I'm talking about. The whole freighter experience was badass. Loved how they cut in and out into thermal vision through the first hallway scene. When the captain communicated with Gideon, we got a little glimpse how menacing and authoritative Gideon actually is. Long live the Empire. When Bo-Katan said Ahsoka Tano's name like OMG. I don't remember the last time I had a nerdgasm, but it was a welcomed one. Our Togruta Queen is coming! And just to hear her name in live-action Star Wars was glorious. The end. P.S. I noticed how articulated Katie's mouth was whenever she talked. I don't know if that's how she really talks, but it reminded me how they kind of talk in the animated shows.
She's got to say a lot of complicated names, so I'm sure
I
she's
could
like
see it because
I
mean I don't remember her talking that way in Battlestar, but I mean if Katie was trying to rechannel Bo's cartoon voice, I'm sure she was doing a little more mouth movement.
If you ever see people in an ADR booth,
oh yeah, they're
they're very deliberate with their mouth movements.
All right, here's our buddy Bossajan, who did dip in here. I don't know if he's still here. Darth Hideous. Here we go. I'll start with this one here. It looks like Vagina Carano is going down in flames, and like all Trump tards, she's doubling down. I think we can agree with that. All right, here he is. Episode 3, you say? It's happening, people. It's actually happening. The beats and comedic timing in this show are a masterclass of writing and execution. Yes, we were all thrown by the little green asshole being a mad cunt and genocidally necking gecko ladies' eggs like a fat Russian gangster slurps caviar off a dead whore's asshole. The landing of the Razor Crest was probably one of the funniest things this show has given us. I agree. It kind of felt a little like the scene from Iron Man where Stark is starting out his repulsor jets and crashes after he confidently thinks he's got this, but he don't got this. The whole setup was fucking fantastic. The entrance of Bo and her gang of homicidal Mandos was perfect. Katie Sackhoff as Bo was perfect. The explanation of Din belonging to a cult of the Watch was perfect. Oftentimes during this episode I thought, am I watching live action or the Clone Wars? Seeing the four of them flying in attack formation gave me a chubby. The attack on the transport was as good as it fucking gets. Bo fucking with Mando by constantly saying this is the way was fucking genius. Her desperation to get the Darksaber from Gideon was real. And the way she casually dropped Ahsoka Tano made me say, you madman, you fucking did it. You fucking did it. This arc between Mando and Bo isn't over. Mark my words. Then the episode is rounded out with baby asshole becoming friends with his little lizard brother. And all that was missing from the end was Jack Sparrow to pop up on the crest. This was fucking excellent. My only question is, will we see Ahsoka in the very end of the next episode, or will she be revealed in Dave's episode number 5?
Yeah, I think we're both leaning towards probably episode 5 for her to come in.
At best, like last moment, don't even say anything, just see your cut. But probably 5, yeah.
Yep.
All right, we did OAC, so on to the Coral Pulse.
The Coral Pulse. He says, it was awesome. Great getting to see other Mandalorians support Din like episode 3 of season 1. Always reminds you why the Mandalorians were a force to be reckoned with during the wars of the Old Republic. I mean, they kind of like... The fun thing was, like you mentioned, like even after they found out like he's a fucking Jesus camp fucker, they still helped him. Like when they get off the ship and he's on, like, you know,
right,
and he's on the docks and he's walking through and those Quarrens are about to fucking jump him. I like how he was like kind of like, oh, let's talk it out, and then fucking Casca, Bo, and Axe land and they just fucking blast.
Yeah,
off.
Bo's like, I fucking killed him. Yeah. Just starts fucking wasting them. Here's the deal. Like, I think they know Din. They know he's not a fucking asswipe when it comes to combat, skill, strategy, that type of shit. They just need to
unbrainwash
exactly.
him.
They need to get him back to normal society. Like, listen, bro, the way, the helmet shit, chill out. Like, we need to not be hiding like rats in sewers. We need to unite under my rule with the Darksaber and bring Mandalore back together. Because I think they even mentioned this episode when they're like, oh, there's only 4 of them. And she's like, well, just imagine what I could do with a whole battalion of Mandos. And we saw that. I mean, that's all she had in the Siege of Mandalore. And she essentially overthrows, with the help of some clones, all the Mandalorian super commandos. All
that was the Night Owls and the 332nd, because Ahsoka was completely on
right.
Maul.
She was just with Maul.
Yeah.
So I mean, they've essentially been going around as 3 Night Owls, fucking up the Empire's supply lines and stealing shit because they're badasses, and she's just trying to get back to like, listen. If we had a bunch of fucking Mandalorians, fuck these Jedi assholes, fuck the Sith, we could get shit back in control.
Exactly.
So yeah.
All right.
I clicked out of a screen there.
Good shit. All right. Cap Wolf Photos next. He says, loved it. Been binging Clone Wars and Rebels episodes since Friday night. I mean, you got to do it, man.
That's the smart thing to do.
Much.
Cap, if you feel overwhelmed, I don't recommend listening to my long-winded explanation of my video about Bo-Katan and why you need to watch these animated shows. So just watch the video. If you don't want to watch all the episodes, I have all the episodes you need that will get you caught up on the Darksaber, Death Watch, Bo-Katan, all the way up through the end of Rebels into Mandalorian. So there you go.
Yep. Good stuff. The Corellian Smuggler says, such an excellent episode. What struck me the most was seeing how well Katie Sackhoff translated Bo-Katan to live action. But also, we also finally get some explanation as to why there are Mandos like Din who never remove their helmets. Din's a religious zealot.
That's damn straight.
Correct.
And I don't have a lot of love for religious zealots even in my real life. So I still love Din. He hasn't done anything that's really put me off yet. But if he fucks over these Night Owl Mandalorians, we're going to have
that's
words.
Gonna be the big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be the big thing. How he adjusts
to his point on Katie, I actually think the fact that she had already acted this character, even though she was animated, probably made it one of her most easy roles to slide into of her career. Because she already had her head in the character, which I would think as an actor and actress, that's one of the hardest things to do, is when you're given a new role, figuring out how to become that character. So outside of the physical stuff and how much she shot of the fight scenes, I actually think she probably walked in day one, put on the costume, and was Bo.
Yeah, she was in Bo mode. Like,
just
she knew what she had to do.
She had that past. She knew the character. She's seen the character go from shithead to redemption, and then loss again. So I think she acted her perfectly. I mean, Bo is very frantic right now. Like, you can tell she's like, Mandalore is in fucking chaos because of the Empire and whatever Gideon was doing with the Great Purge, and that cocksucker has the tool I need to fix it.
Yep. All right. Next up, Paul 6. He says, my only complaint is it was only 30 minutes. Awesome episode throughout. Great to see Bo-Katan. But a few years after Luke and co defeats the Empire and the end of Vader, no one has heard of the Jedi. Wouldn't this be around the same time frame Luke is starting his own Jedi dojo? Seems like Din should be looking for Luke. Din doesn't know who Luke is. Din doesn't know who anybody is.
Exactly.
And the reason that, in my mind, the reason that Bo is like, hey, go find Ahsoka is because Bo and Ahsoka have a really good relationship. Like, she's worked with her in the past.
Exactly.
So
and Bo doesn't know Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, Bo, to our knowledge, Bo and Luke Skywalker have never interacted before.
Let's kind of be real about this. At this time, Luke was essentially the last real Jedi. I mean, it's not like Jedi were all over the galaxy. I mean, for almost 20 years, they were extinct.
They were literally being hunted.
Like almost an entire generation wouldn't have grown up with a Jedi temple and Jedi all around policing the galaxy. So I don't think the Jedi were as prevalent. I mean, hell, even Han Solo in New Hope's like, that fucking hokey religion shit, it ain't real. I mean, so even by then, he wasn't buying into the sorcery, the space wizard. So while we as fans, we were introduced to Jedi through Luke, and we saw what he did with his powers, blowing up 2 Death Stars, redeeming Darth Vader. Yeah, we as fans think he's a legend. But how much of that was getting out in the galaxy where you still had the Empire probably controlling communications even after the fall of the Emperor?
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't want a hero out there. They didn't want the legend out there. I mean, we do know from Luke himself that he eventually was held at legendary status, and people thought he could take down an entire battalion with his laser sword. But at this point in time, at least canon-wise, I think Luke's out on his fucking vision quest. Yeah. Right? He's looking at all the Force bunkers that the Empire, that the Sith had.
He doesn't really have the Academy restarted yet, based off of what we learned in Battlefront 2
And remember,
campaign.
Ahsoka is not a Jedi. Okay?
Yeah, no, she's not a Jedi. Force user at most.
That's probably the best thing
Paul 6.
Baby Yoda could be going to.
Papa Palpatine Photography, good friend of ours. He says Bo-Katan would beat Mando's ass. He seems second rate compared to the real Mandalorians. And then he just has the laughing faces and he says he's one of them.
Yeah.
That's a Papa.
Yeah,
take.
I mean, he's one of the more negative Star Wars lovers out there. So, I mean, he was jumping on Nick's trolling train. I don't know if that was just to get in on the game Nick was playing or what. But
I think Papa really believes that, though. I will say that I agree that Bo-Katan would beat Mando's ass, and he does seem.
Well,
he seems kind of like a bargain bin version of Bo.
She's got more experience on him in all sorts of in war and in combat and in laser sword combat. So yeah,
and she's like, she can look around with her real eyes. It must make things a lot easier.
I'm gonna stand up for Din. I still like Din. He's still my favorite Mandalorian. He might be a nut job, but I think he can get over that type of shit.
All right. So that's the end of the question of the week. We got like 17 minutes left here.
We'll figure this out.
This is already a fan breakdown week too. So we're going to blow through the top 5 kind of quickly. Usually we dive into like what we like about the shot. I'm sorry for those of you who are in here.
We got 22 minutes. We can get through this.
Okay. So we got first up this week in the Star Wars Time Top 5 Star Wars Artists of the Week is Action Figure Snaps.
All right. He's the t-shirt guy. I saw someone said they like Nick's
t-shirt. That's our good friend Adrian.
Hit up Action Figure Snaps. He'll sell you one.
Action Figure Snaps. Adrian, good friend of the show. And what we see here is a lot of Mandos we're going to see this week. So a good Mando action shot. He's got his blaster drawn, blasting down somebody, explosion in the background, cape whipping up behind him. Very good shot here.
And I actually think Action Figure Snaps created this Beskar Mando because it looks like he kind of customized it and painted it.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is a store-bought one, but yeah, I like it too. It was really good action pose. He added in some little After Effects there with the dust kicking up by his feet, but he's also...
If it was a true Din shot, it would just be him getting shot a bunch of times and falling on the ground with bombs in his hand.
Hell yeah. Yeah, so no, I mean it's a really good shot. I'm a big fan of action figure snaps. He's a good guy. He joins the live stream every once in a while. But like I said, he sent Nick and I like a crate full of Star Wars shirts, and ever since then, all we do is wear Star Wars shirts. Now I'm not wearing one of action figure snaps as I sit here, and literally I'm twisting my nipples because they're feeling a little fat. But I just have my old Yoda shirt on here. But at action figure snaps. Good dude, and I believe he still just shoots with an iPhone, which makes his shots even more impressive. Because that's hard to get that level of depth of field behind Din here to get that bokeh.
Yeah. So good stuff. At Action Figure Snaps with a Z at the end on IG. Give him a follow. Next up is a good friend of the show. Oh my God. This
thing here, Nick, from At Work More or Less.
This is so meta.
You got to be kidding me. Like, this is... I told Jason offline, I was like, dude, I'm not kidding. This could be the most creative and the most well done Star Wars toy photography shot I've ever seen. Yeah. He literally has printed out a Hasbro Pulse box that Din and the baby are turning into a cardboard Razor Crest. There's like a little beer there. There's other little cardboard tubes. If you've been following Jason at Work More or Less for a long time, you see he has and that's real, that little Slave One box in the background. He printed that shit out. That's real. And really the image, it's Din playing with the child like any dad would, making up a spaceship out of household items to entertain the kid. And it is perfect. It is so fucking well done that I could actually see Din and the baby doing this in between missions.
Yeah, like he's just got some boxes in the back of the actual Razor Crest where he's like, all right, baby, let's go for a ride.
I just when I look at shit like this, I just go, I mean, I do not have that creative brain like At Work More or Less. And I guess that's why he is a creative by trade. I mean, the guy literally gets fucking paid to create stuff for brands. And this right here, if I was Jason, I would charge Hasbro for making this shot. I'd be like, listen, I made this fucking shot promoting your shit. It's better than anything your team could ever dream up. Pay me.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, Jason's a genius. Like that's what it comes down to.
Really is. Like he thinks on a different creative plane than a lot of us in this hobby. And there's a few others out there like him, Nose Rain, Plastic Action, Jason B. Michael. But it's like, my God, I mean, this one out of all I've seen in terms of just creative Star Wars toy photography shots, where it kind of takes them out of their universe and puts them in ours. At Work More or Less wins. I'm sorry. This shot is pure creative genius.
Yeah, 100%. So At Work More or Less on Instagram, give him a follow. Well worth it. Like I said, the guy is a genius. Next up is a real ass painting. This is from At Jailer Doodles. And what we see here is a really cool representation of Rey. This is Tross Rey, you can see from her garb, whipping the Skywalker family blade still. And she's standing out in an open field, and there's a lot of fog. And through the fog, you see 3 TIE fighters coming to fly over her from behind. I just thought that this was a really great representation of Rey. I know that people just don't like the character. They don't like the sequel trilogy, which is fine. But the art that was created here by Jailer is just really good.
It's awesome. And I like Jailer, and I think it's a girl.
Yeah.
But she even's like, hey, awesome. You guys rock. Thanks for featuring me. I don't know if she heard about us through Savvy. But we speak her name. At Jailer Dude is awesome stuff. I'm on her page now. You can check out some more of her art. I don't want to compare it to Savvy, but it is kind of that Disney really awesome looking hand-drawn style and animated style, with definitely a huge Star Wars fan, because she's got non-Star Wars characters with lightsabers. You got Shuri in there. You got Tarzan.
And then Mulan.
You got like this one, the Ahsoka in a Tano sweatshirt, and little baby in a Tano sweatshirt, like modeling actual stuff from Ashley Eckstein's store. I think Her Universe or whatever.
Her Universe. Yep, that's it.
But yeah, it's like all these talented female artists out there. I look at, like, I'm looking at Jailer's portfolio here. Again, it's like, how are these people not hired by the Disneys or comic books to do this? Because I mean, look at the precision, look at the quality of these drawings with their fucking hands. How do people do this with their hands?
Dude, it's crazy. I mean, you can scroll down Jailer's feed and it's just like Savvy or any of the other like traditional artists that we've talked about. It's just beautiful all the way down. It's
amazing. And we say this all the time. I know it's probably a cliche at this point for the Star Wars Time show when we break down real ass paint, but I just look at this stuff and it makes no sense. It doesn't translate to me how someone can think of it in their head and then get it to come out of their fingers. It's crazy.
Yeah. I also like to call out when the traditional artists or vector artists do commissions. So Jailer does that. She does commissions. And she has it kind of laid out on her page. She also has a Redbubble, which is a shop where you can go in and get like any kind of merchandise for the art that she does. I can see that she does mouse pads. She's got spiral notebooks for sale. She does prints, frame prints. So go look on there. She's got a ton of stuff up.
It's just great stuff. I mean, another real ass Star Wars artist I feel should have a much larger following. As I said, similar to at Savvy Art. I don't know if they're friends. Either way, they're both very talented. But today is Jailer's Day, so we speak your name, Jailer. Fantastic stuff. Keep up the tagging our account and using hashtag Star Wars Time Show.
Yes, at Jailer, Jayler Doodles on Instagram. Beautiful.
Oh, here we go. Fired up. We got a Mando character in this next one, huh?
Yeah, at Drew Originals here with the Flame Trooper literally just bathing the screen in whatever environment he's in fire.
He's doing what a good incinerator trooper would do, and that is fucking raise down an entire Mos Eisley-like town. I even think there's a character back there running away from the flame. There's another one, I think, with their hand up like, oh, fuck. I do like it. I'm imagining the flame effect is in post, but it's well done. I like how it kind of...
Drew's in the chat, too, so if you got any questions for him, drop them, and he will respond.
Yeah, Drew, if I say anything dumb or if you hear me ask, just go ahead and let it in there, and we'll announce it on the show. But I'm assuming the flame is not practical. The sparks behind them may be practical, like the sparkler explosion. Either way, the way the lighting was done to kind of reflect, even if that is not a real flame, to reflect the flame back on the trooper's armor is very nice. It's an eye-catching shot. You know, it's lined up right there in one of the run of the third crosshair, so your eye is just naturally drawn to the trooper's helmet.
See, dude, I could see this is who came into the Lars homestead and just roasted.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking, you know,
exactly.
They just roasted them.
Yeah, and this is pretty much how they did it. They just held down that trigger until you saw those two fucking marshmallow people crawl out the door and then burnt to a crisp. But good work there from at Drew Originals. I'll throw up his page real quick. I'm not sure if this is. I think he's been on the top 5 before.
Yes,
but I believe Drew's another one that's been bit by the IG fuck you algorithm shit that a lot of us have suffered from. Because another very talented toy photographer that almost does Star Wars exclusively, but just is not getting that following they deserve. So if you're not following at Drew Originals, hit him up. Good account to follow, especially if you are a Star Wars art fan. Dude,
that most recent Mando shot he's got up there is nasty.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's really good stuff.
He said it was. He said that the foreground flames are post, and then the sparkles are practical sparks.
Yeah, it's almost like I do this hobby every once in a while. I may not be good at it, but I'm getting better at breaking down shots and how people pull them off.
You can pick it out. You kind of know what happens there.
Right.
All right, next up, we got our good friend South P24.
I love South
and
P.
He's got a brutal Ewok shot here of Tebow just fucking beheading a stormtrooper on just like, oh my god, man.
This is like one of those story shots I talk about.
Yeah,
it's the way he has the trooper pose. It's almost like the trooper was getting up off the ground like you know, like a wounded warrior, and Tebow just rolls through, one arm's like, nope, whack. He just fucking chops his head off like, nope, you're not getting up today, pal.
Yeah, like Tebow's just going right. This might even be like after the battle.
That's what I mean.
Kind of been decided.
Yeah, you know how like we've seen other battles where the battle's ended and all the wounded are laying on the battlefield like oh my liver. Like this guy popped up like oh it's over, cool, and Tebow just walks through, doesn't even fucking think about it. No look, one hand, whack, and just pops his head off. South P is. Good. He excels at violent Star Wars toy photography. I mean, this guy, I'd say at least once a week, if not a few times a month, is posting some sort of Star Wars character getting dismembered. I shit you not. I'm on his account now. Right here. Here's one that I know is in the 2 feature queue. It's Din with the Darksaber chopping off a stormtrooper's head, and it goes flying. So, like I said, South P. He excels at posting violent Star Wars art. If
you look at there's a shot right after the Tebow shot where it's Tebow and another Wicked, it looks like eating the entrails of one of the stormtroopers.
That's what I mean.
My God.
And he does it all practical. So it looks like he's just using some rope. He's got it dipped in fake blood. And Tebow, he's got the blood running down his mouth yub nub.
Oh my gosh,
it's awesome.
It's just brutal stuff. At South P24 on Instagram. Brutal.
Great account because he also makes some bitchin' customs. I'm showing his custom Cobb right now. Just great stuff. I mean, he makes good customs and then takes great pictures of them. So huge fan personally of at South P24. Paul out there on Instagram.
On IG. All right, and this brings us into our 2 fan shop breakdowns this week. Our first one is from at SWTS on IG, a longtime follower of the show and supporter. So it's nice to see him asking for some feedback. So Matt, this is kind of your star segment.
Yeah, I know. I don't have much time left, so I'm going to rush through this, unfortunately. So sorry, Spencer and Link. But, we started this about a month or 2 ago where fans are now submitting shots to be critiqued by me like I critique my own shots. Remember, we have a rotating segment here. We always do the top 5. But one week I get a +1 or the top one. Nick picks a shot of mine that I have to shit on. And now we have fans that submit shots that I'm not necessarily going to shit on them if I don't have to. But they want some feedback. They want it broken down. So we're starting with SWTS here, who, if you've been in the toy community, he's one of the bigger names out there. He's a part of the C3 Bros JSI with Black Series and Work More or Less. He is a partner with Hasbro. He actually gets paid to shoot their toys. So big account. But he wants my dumbass to break apart a shot, and we've got, again, a shot that there's not much to break down, but I'll try my best. Spencer, like myself, is very much a practical shooter. He's a guy that will bring his camera with him anywhere he goes, a few figures in a pack, and if he sees the right sunlight, he'll throw it down and shoot. And that's kind of what we're looking at here. He's on a dewback. Mando is on a dewback. It's a nice sun-kissed environment, and the dewback's got a paw up like he's walking, and it's just kind of a chill shot of Mando. I mean, it's not like an action shot or anything. I don't know. It's like you motherfuckers, you all submit shots that really aren't that fucking shitty looking. I was hoping because don't get me wrong, my friends. We appreciate every one of you that tag at Star Wars Time Show and use our hashtag on Instagram. But Nick, I can tell you every day there are some shots I get and I'm just like, oh boy. I'll like it, but that's about as far as it's ever going to go. But for this segment, instead of getting shots like that to help people, we're essentially getting fine art submitted to us. So
I think that a little bit later down, there's
a few to beat up. All right, we'll see.
Yeah. And we've given some good feedback to people like Liam before. Like looking at this shot, the only thing that I can really think of is like maybe it's a little too bright on the left hand side, and it kind of draws,
it gets a little blown out. Bright. It gets a little blown out on the left. My other just minor critique, I know why Spencer kind of posed the dewback's paw up a little bit to make it look like it's actually walking, but I actually think that that kind of takes my focus off of the main subject, which should be Din. And I go, because it kind of plays into your critique of the real bright light on the left of the image. I just find my eye, when I look at this image, it goes down towards the Dewback's head in that posed paw versus Mando.
Yeah. So maybe if the camera was like positioned a little bit more like where you're looking to the right.
Right.
And then that way in like an upward angle, so you're not like drawn down to the foot of it, because it seems like it's a pretty straight on shot. Like you're just looking straight at it. So maybe if it had like a little bit of a lower angle.
So you're getting more. Yeah. That always helps. And that's hard to do when you're shooting in the field, because you can't really get your camera below the subject. So I'd assume Spencer's got this sitting right on the ground shooting it. And you are right. I mean, toys typically look a little more realistic if you do have that up angle towards them. It makes them look a little taller and imposing. But I always like Spencer's work because, I mean, he's kind of like me. He keeps it simple, not doing crazy action poses. I don't know if he used any atmosphere aerosol here or not. I guess you could argue a nice little spritz on the ground to kind of kick up some of the dust. That might have made the effect of the Dewback walking look a little bit better. But overall, it's a pretty good shot from @SWTPicks. So I think that's about where I'm going to stop this breakdown.
And then next
keep it up, Spencer. We do appreciate you. You're one of the bigger names that loyally tags and follows the account. So we speak your name.
Very much appreciate that.
All right. Up next, we have @LinkTheJedi. He's been featured in the top 5 before. This is predominantly a 1/6 scale figure shooter. He gets a lot of the figures early. I think he gets them right from Hong Kong. I mean, he's not like me and waits for Sideshow. But we're looking at his shot. It's sort of an alternate take on the scene in TLJ where old man Luke is in the Falcon reminiscing about life, and R2 kind of makes him feel like a piece of shit for treating Rey like garbage. In terms of the shot, the lighting's a little dark, in my opinion, on the left side. It doesn't really match the lighting that's coming down on R2. You would think if R2 and Luke are under the same light source, they'd kind of be lit the same way. But it's, it's still a pretty good shot. I mean, you could argue adding in either post effects or maybe even spraying some fog in this scene would have made it feel a little more alive. I do like the concept of having R2 present Luke with his green lightsaber. I do like the idea of the shot, and obviously, I think he's got a practical
green boy,
a practical Falcon bench seat.
Oh yeah.
Because if that's not practical, then I'd say that's a pretty damn good job of compositing Luke into this and making it look like he's real. A part of the scene. So that is a bonus. For me, it's something with the lighting that is not making this shot pop as much as I feel like it should.
It's kind of was going to be my only critique as well. It's like the lighting over on the left, like you mentioned. You also have light coming out of the grates, which to me would kind of brighten that side of the shot a little bit more.
Yeah, that would have been good to have a little bit of fog or smoke or steam to come through to just add a little more atmosphere to the shot.
Yeah. Like I don't want to say it seems sterile, because it's not like, usually with sterility you're like, oh, it's all white and bright, but like it just, I think like a little bit of fog or something like that, or even like, like if you had the hollow table behind him lit a little bit, like almost like you could see like one of the chess figures there. I think, I know he was trying to scene recreate from TLJ, like you said, but just like that little bit would make it feel a little bit more lively. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's a very good shot. I mean, there's really not a ton to critique here. But yeah, I think that about covers it for me as well. So if Matt is done with his feedback, then that will bring us to the
I think
end
that's
of our...
it. Sorry, we kind of had to rush through. I got real life stuff. I got to go observe a colleague of mine teaching a course that I was bitching about earlier. So it's time to put this episode to bed, my friends. I want to apologize. I feel like my Bo-Katan segment was terrible. That was my bad. I did not approach that the right way. I think the video's good and the content is worthy of your time, so please check it out. But I'm going to apologize for that damn near 15, 20 minutes of just me talking and Nick looking like he wanted to blow his brains out. I will get better. That was not a good way to present that segment. Way too windy, way too wordy. I will punish myself for that, all right? I got the fucking cattails, don't worry. But it is time to say goodbye. 137, it's been real. It's time to do that SWTS dance. Shake it and shimmy and shake those boobies. Yay! All right, so StarWarsTime.net. That's all you need to know about the Star Wars Time Show, at least for now. If you're new, just hit that domain. It's got all the content you need. It's got the topics we usually talk about during the live stream and the podcast, but it's got all of the relevant links you need to find to become Star Wars Time Show loyalists, disciples, fandoms, assholes, whatever you want to call yourself. We will speak your name if you come over to the SWTS team. And while you're here, like I said, you're on StarWarsTime.net. Subscribe to the podcast. Pad our numbers. Whatever podcast platform you are on, please rate and review it. That is the only thing that allows our podcast to be shown to more people when people search for Star Wars podcasts on the internet, on Spotify, on iTunes, Pandora, you name it. It's all about having a following. If the AI overlords do not think we have a following, they will not let any new people see us. We need to keep growing. I love seeing new people show up in the live stream. That's also a link you can find on StarWarsTime.net. Just scroll down a little bit. You'll see right there, Star Wars Time on YouTube. Look at that. Subscribe. Click that button. Sign up. Turn on notifications. And when you do see a new Star Wars Time Show video, please comment and like. We would appreciate that. That's how we grow this stuff. Okay? We're getting there. We'll have 1,000 people on the YouTube. We got a good following on IG, but we need to build up the other accounts. Oh boy, we actually have a publicist for a guest we're trying to get onto the show in the live stream right now. We will definitely get with you, the real Hussein. Thank you. This could be big for the show. Stay tuned. How is that for a teaser, my friends? You got to like that. That's why you got to be checking out the live stream. You never know what's going to happen. So please, StarWarsTime.net, get over there, sub to the podcast. We're on all the platforms. Subscribe to YouTube so you can join in with these lovely and sometimes explicit live stream episodes. Because there's always time for Star Wars time, right? We know that. Now everyone will know that. We're not a cult. We're not like Din. We're not children of the watch. But we know there is always time for Star Wars time over here at the Star Wars Time Show. And besides, if you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you. Always. Oh boy.